Feel Good Breakfast Show indeed. Perhaps it's a chilly one for you, but we say welcome and thank you for choosing your Feel Good Breakfast Show to start off your day. I'm Zoe Brown, and today we are in for a treat because we are delivering on, in fact, we're going to be diving into relationship dynamics, particularly in a family setting where passive-aggressive behavior is present. Now, is it considered as a healthy conflict, or is there a preferred way to handle tension? If you find yourself in that situation, we have got the experts along the way to help us unpack and deal with that. Then we also want to, help you handle all the stress. So we are going to unwind with a workout from exercise specialist Lisha Fitness. You do know her on Instagram. And finally, we are joined by up-and-coming artist who goes by the name of Grateful, and he's only 21 years old, and some would say he's Bruno Mars's doppelganger. I guess you will have to wait and stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast Show and decide for yourself. Well, that and a whole lot more is coming your way, but I can't do the show alone. Good morning, Ewan Strydom.
You are not alone. Good morning, Zoe Brown. Lovely to be with you guys this morning. Good morning, Mzansi. It is ice cold out there, and I hope you are staying warm, but we are most certainly going to be spicing things up this morning in your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We want to head on over to social media quickly, and this is what we want to know from you. Good morning, first and foremost. We are chatting feuds. Yes, when facing conflict, how do you tend to respond? Does the fight or the flight kicks in? We're specifically talking about those family feuds as well. What's the best way of going about dealing with it? Do you want to hash it out right there and then? Do you let it simmer for a while? What is your go-to? What is the right way to really resolve issues within a family dynamic properly, so there's no long-lasting effects or grudges being held? We want to know from you. Share your voice notes and your comments on 0634088863. We'd love to connect with you. Always include that hashtag Expresso Show as well. Let's get this Tuesday morning going.
Thank you, Ewan. Let's kick off with national news. Motorists will wake to cheaper fuel prices tomorrow morning, with both grades of petrol to decrease by 71 cents per litre, while the wholesale price of diesel drops 80 cents and 84 cents depending on sulfur content. Now, illuminating paraffin decreases by 43 cents per litre, and the Automobile Association said while the weaker rand reduced the price unit, it still comes as a welcome relief to motorists after petrol prices in the previous months were increased to more than 23 rand per litre for the first time this year. And staying with our local news, former Cabinet Minister Tina Joemat-Pettersson has passed away. She was 59. Joemat-Pettersson was a member of Parliament and chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of the Police. It's understood that she passed away at her home. The leader of the Freedom Front Plus party, Pieter Groenewald, said she always acted in the national interest. He added that she was a dedicated chairperson on the Police Portfolio Committee and never shied away from criticizing senior members of the police management. And moving to news abroad, fighting has intensified in Khartoum after a ceasefire deal expired and a new outburst of violence took hold in Sudan, with dozens killed. Black smoke billowed above the capital, Khartoum, on Sunday after the truce between Sudan's army and the paramilitary Rapid Response Forces expired hours earlier. Fighting in Khartoum has led to widespread damage and looting, collapse of health services, power and water cuts, and dwindling food supplies. The deadly power struggle in Sudan has also triggered a major humanitarian crisis, with more than 1.2 million people displaced. And in the wake of news of a reduction in petrol prices in South Africa comes a report that oil prices have risen after Saudi Arabia said it would make cuts of 1 million barrels per day in July. Other members of OPEC Plus, a group of oil-producing countries, also agreed to continued cuts in production in an attempt to shore up flagging prices. OPEC Plus accounts for some 40% of the world's crude oil. In Asia trade yesterday, Brent crude oil rose by as much as 2.4% before settling at around $77 a barrel. And a man paralyzed in a motorcycle accident is walking again after a surgical procedure aided by AI, that's artificial intelligence. Gert-Jan Oskam, 40, was paralyzed from the waist down with the help of AI researchers at Lausanne University Hospital in Switzerland, built what they call a digital bridge between his brain and spine, bypassing the injuries. This made it possible for him to think about moving, and his body followed his thoughts. Oskam's case is the first successful procedure of this kind, and researchers hope to bring it more to people. Well, that is where I leave your headlines. Let's take a first look at your sport.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Let's start off with your soccer news this morning. Banyana head coach Desiree Ellis has unveiled the preliminary 36-member squad, which will be narrowed down to 23 players ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Now, Ellis can only select a squad of 23 players that will eventually represent South Africa at the global tournament to be staged in Australia and New Zealand from 20 July to 20 August. Veteran defender and former captain Janine van Wyk, who is also the most capped Banyana player, had to withdraw from being selected due to a lengthy list of injuries. But we do wish them all of the best in their build-up to the World Cup. Staying with soccer, Celtic boss Ange Postecoglou has agreed to become Tottenham's new manager on a 2-year contract. The Australian has just finished his second season at Celtic, leading them to the Scottish title both years and the domestic treble this term. Now, Spurs have been looking for a new manager since Antonio Conte's exit in March, with Christian Salini and then Ryan Mason taking interim charge. Now, the final elements of the deal are being finalised before any announcements are made. Then over to rugby news. Neil Powell will relinquish the coaching reins and step back into his role as director of rugby at the Sharks. Powell was the coach of the United Rugby Championship team after Sean Everett was shown the door at the start of the last season. New Zealander John Plumtree, a previous head coach of the Durban side, comes into the role again and has the responsibility of leading the Sharks to a first ever semi-final in next season's URC. Now, Joey Mangala will stay on as the defence coach, while Plumtree's other assistants include Dave Williams, Warren Whitley and also Philip Lemmer. And then tennis news, defending champion Iga Swiatek set up a rematch of last year's French Open final against Coco Gauff by moving into the Roland Garros last 8. Swiatek progressed to win Ukraine's Lysia Turenko, retired ill. Now, Gauff beat Slovakia's Anna Karolina Schmidlova 7-5 and 6-2. Tunisia's Ons Jabeur moved into the quarterfinals for the first time with a 6-3, 6-1 win over Bernarda Pera and will face Beatrice Haddad Maya. In the men's draw, Casper Ruud continued his bid to reach back-to-back finals by fending off Nicholas Jarry 7-6, 7-5 and 7-5. He will now face Holger Rune in the last 8. That's a quick roundup of your sport headlines early on your Tuesday morning. Let's now get into your weather, see what that holds for this day.
Dankie Strydom. Well, let's kick off with some local weather. Environmental news from Durban is that famous long-distance swimmer and passionate ocean conservationist Sarah Ferguson is organising an open water swim at Durban's beachfront on Saturday to celebrate World Oceans Day. The event has 4 distances that will suit all swimmers. This is the first time since COVID. The chemical spill into the sea at Umhlanga during the 2021 looting and violence and large-scale sewage spills during the 2021 floods that the event is able to be held. Ferguson's founder of the non-profitable organisation Breathe Conservation says their aim is to eliminate single-use plastic. Well, on that note, let's take a first look at your temperatures. Starting off in Limpopo, if you're in Polokwane, your low is 8, your high 20. Mbombela, 22 with a high of, in fact, your low is 12, your high 22. Pretoria, 10, 23. Johannesburg, 9, 21. Mahikeng, 10, 26. Klerksdorp, 10 with a high of 26. Kimberley, 6 with a high of 20. If you're in Bloemfontein, 0 is your low, 20 your high. Richards Bay, 14, 23. Pietermaritzburg, 8, 22. Staying in KZN, Durban, your low is 14, your high 23. Mthatha, 3, 22. East London, your low is 11, your high 22. If you're in Cradock, a low of 3 and a high of 20 can be expected. Gqeberha, your low is 7, your high 22. George 7:19, Cape Town 11:17. If you're in Worcester, 8 is your low, 22 your high. Sutherland 3:14, and Uppington a low of 9 and a high of 26 degrees Celsius. Well, that's a look at your temperatures. Let's take a look at those sunrise views that you share. So let's kick it off. This one is from Nina. She's from Gordons Bay, and she shared this delightful photo. Look at the tones of peach in the sky. Malcolm from Phoenix is looking out of his window and saw these stunning shades in the sky and just had to share it with us. Priya from Tongaat is enjoying the fresh morning air and snapped this flawless view of the bold orange hues. And last up, we have Gino in Cork Bay, who captured this perfect view from the harbour. Just look at all of those beautiful colours. Well, we absolutely love it. If you have one to share with us, please do so on our WhatsApp line. Our number is 063 408 8863.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Now, we know it is no secret. Confidence comes naturally when you feel good and look dapper, but layering is essential to beat those winter chills, and that's why Woolies has us covered with the latest jackets and coats. Now, here's the deal. Today, I'm styled in this grey knit pullover, blue jeans, and some lekker boots, but I need your help choosing the perfect layer item to finish the look. The choice is yours. We have two options, and firstly, we have this commuter jacket on this side here, featuring 4 flat pockets. They're nicely hidden. You don't really see them, but they're there, and this is really the ultimate winter essential for every man's wardrobe. Then we have option 2 on that side, the practical grey funnel coat that adds just that elegant touch to any outfit, and that is what I need your help with this morning, Mzansi. The choice is now yours. Head on over to Expresso social media pages and vote for your favorite look, and also don't forget to include that hashtag styled by Woolies. Can't wait to see what you have me wear on this chilly Tuesday morning.
To join FAS, Fathers Against Socks, SMS the number on your screen.
SMS is charged at 75 Rand.
I'm not supposed to tell her that.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is a wonderful Tuesday, and it's also a relationship Tuesday on your Feel Good Breakfast Show this morning, where we delve into various relationship dynamics. Spicy. In all families, big or small, there are bound to be feuds and some forms of passive aggression. But to what extent are feuds and passive aggression healthy? That is the question we want to answer this morning. Is it right for some people to shy away from some confrontation? What is the parent's role in all of this? Very important as well. Now, here with us this morning, and hopefully got all the answers as well, we have psychologist Thomas Geffen to help us out just a little bit. Thomas, welcome to the show, man. Lovely to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, we were just speaking off air now. It's such a broad topic because there's so many factors that influence family dynamics and a little bit of tension in there, background, culture, where you come from. And I'm hoping we're going to just pass on some knowledge this morning, but I want to talk about those terms. Gaslighting, passive-aggressive. How would you define these two terms looking at that family space?
Absolutely, and I mean, gaslighting is really one that we're just getting so much now, and people are using this term, but what exactly does it mean? It's not always clear. So with gaslighting, you know, it's really when someone is trying to undermine your reality. They're really, in quite a significant way, questioning your reality. It might be subtle and happening over time, but you're starting to wonder, you know, how is it that, you know, they always seem to, you know, make me out to be the bad guy, or they always seem to, you know, really think that I do this, or I'm, you know, something really is being questioned fundamentally. So it can be quite, you know, it can really have quite a negative impact on a relationship. And then moving over to passive-aggressive behavior. So, I mean, it's helpful just to break down these words. So the passive side of things, I mean, that would be something, it's a really kind of indirect form of communication. You know, it's subtle, it's just under the table there. You're not really sure.
Like a jab.
You know, yeah, it's like a jab, and then you're questioning what happened there. But it is actually aggressive, and that is the key thing. It's really intended, you know, whether someone is very conscious of it or less conscious, but it's really intending to kind of hurt someone or cause them some distress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that passive aggressiveness, I mean, where it comes from or where it stems from, I mean, that is also the big question here, but we're going to focus on that a little bit later. We know that within families, there's always tension. Like we've mentioned, I mean, people have got different personalities, and, you know, the way that people grew up and then thrown in together in the same pot, it causes that tension. But is it healthy for families to have a little bit of tension, and to what extent before it becomes essentially damaging?
Absolutely, and you know, it's such a good question because every family is different, and so you know what might be healthy in one family could be very unhealthy for another family, and so you know, I think there is quite a spectrum with this. So on the one hand, you know, feuds that really last, you know, weeks and months, and there's consistent fighting, that can really, really be damaging to a family system. But I do believe that some degree of conflict is quite healthy.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, you know, it shows in a family that there can be a safe space. You know, one can express feelings, we can disagree, but still respect each other. And then on the other hand, I think, you know, families which have almost no conflict, what you might find is, you know, what might be happening in that family? Is it that one person is dominating a family and no one is allowed to say anything?
Then you walk around with those internal anger.
Absolutely. You know, so a family should be a space where you can express feelings, you can maybe argue, you can bicker a little bit, but ultimately it's a space where that gets sorted out, it gets addressed, you learn about yourself, you learn about, you know, each other, and then you move forward, you know.
And you want to do it in a way that you resolve those issues in a positive way.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we talk about passive aggressiveness, it can be very damaging. In what way would you say that it can be damaging if it's not addressed properly within a family dynamic? Where can it lead?
Absolutely. I mean, it really is, you know, the fact that it is so hidden. And so I think where it can lead to is, you know, really long-lasting kind of, you know, breakdown of relationships, further down the line. I think, you know, for the person who's on the receiving end of this behavior, they might start to question, you know, what is it that they're doing wrong, or they themselves might start to become very frustrated. So, you know, that is the one thing, is that a passive-aggressive behavior, although it is an angry behavior, it often leaves the other person feeling angry because, you know, it's done in such an indirect way, you know, it's just a little bit sideways, and so then the person receiving this can actually become very angry. And they then might kind of, you know, really blow up and get very frustrated. And that can really lead to quite a breakdown in relationships.
And especially if the person on the receiving end of passive aggressiveness doesn't really understand, the passive aggression that where it's coming from. I mean, that itself can be very, very damaging, because that just causes the pot to boil completely. Now, when it comes to, if you take a look at a family aspect, you get the parents, you get the kids. In your opinion, what is the more difficult one to deal with? You have a passive aggressive child or a passive aggressive parent?
Such a great question. And, I really think it would be the passive-aggressive parent. And the reason why is that children learn from their parents. And so if you
model that behavior.
Model that behavior, right? And it's kind of the thing of do what I say and not what I do. But for children, they're going to do what you do and not what you say.
Yeah, exactly.
And, then a child is also then ultimately going to become passive-aggressive or have difficulty with communication. So, I think really a parent who is passive-aggressive really can be quite harmful to a child. They're still learning to communicate. They're still learning a lot about their world, especially with a young child. They are really trying to engage and understand the world, understand feelings, and then to get a kind of passive-aggressive behavior from a parent might really leave them feeling very confused, very overwhelmed, but not understanding why.
Exactly, and I mean, if you don't deal with it, I mean, imagine the roadmap for that child going forward and their relationships outside and their workplace. So we're going to delve into that a little bit deeper. Thomas, thank you very much, man. Very insightful this morning. We want to know how do you deal with conflict in a family situation? What is your go-to? How do you resolve it? Is it the fight or flight that kick in? Comment on our social media post on Facebook and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Our number 063 408 8863. We'll be back with Thomas in just a bit.
Thank you, Ewan. And speaking of family dynamics, I think a great way to do that is to give them a dose of care.
Introducing new Panado Pediatric Syrup 5ml sachets. They're really convenient to pack and easy to use, so you're always prepared for pain and fever anytime, anywhere.
Now, having a daughter is having the happiest memories of the past, the most joyful moments of the present, and the hope and promise for the future. Now, Panado gave you the chance to nominate a deserving daughter to receive a 2,000 Rand cash dose of care. Now, of course, that deserving daughter, can we say congratulations to Jabulile Mguni. You are our lucky winner today, and Mom Mtombi commented and nominated you, saying, "My daughter is a beautiful girl. She is a shy girl and sometimes cries. She enjoys being around friends, and even if she is not feeling okay, she wants to go to school. She does not like to be absent from class. Hashtag Panado essay, hashtag a dose of care." Well, we have Mom on the line right now. Good morning, Mom. Morning, Mom. How are you, Mtombi? Oh, I'm sorry, it seems like we don't have Mtombi on the line, but what a beautiful nomination that she did for her little daughter, who's only 6 years old. So congratulations to the both of you. You get that 2,000 Rand dose of care, and we hope that we have inspired you to keep sharing doses of care wherever you go.
Being a parent can be challenging, but stepping out is when things get real complicated. That's why new Panado Pediatric Syrup 5ml sachets are here to make the job easier. They're really convenient to pack and easy to use, so you're always prepared for pain and fever anytime, anywhere. Panado, a dose of care.
Only you can make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this chilly Tuesday. It is a Relationship Tuesday on your Feel Good Breakfast Show this morning, and we are delving into various relationship dynamics this morning. Very spicy. Now, we know this. No family is absolutely 100% perfect. Personalities clash. Arguments are inevitable, and not everyone will be the biggest advocate for confrontation at first, that is. But family is all about how we handle and overcome these hurdles. We're back with psychologist Thomas Geffen to discuss this rather interesting topic further. Thomas, welcome back. We unpacked a little bit about passive aggressiveness, what that means, gaslighting as well. And we also spoke about, I think, how it can affect a child and parents. It's such a complicated one because we were just speaking off air. It's not always that somebody will realize that they're acting in a passive aggressive manner. But if you take a look at maybe parents and who's got young children and one of the parents are of a passive-aggressive nature, how does that then essentially impact the children? Because we spoke about the fact that, children loves modeling behavior.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that really is the key thing. So, for every child, it may look different. So that is important to really think about. But one of the things that passive-aggressive behavior does is it can really leave a child, especially, questioning what have they done wrong. And with it being passive-aggressive, it's really unclear. The child isn't sure what they've done wrong, but it can also leave them feeling really angry. And, passive-aggressive behavior is often very hidden, and so it really projects the anger that maybe a parent feels, but it projects it into the child. And the child then may really feel, they've really done something wrong, or might feel quite worthless even.
Exactly. And if you take a look and taking, from a point of, a child from an emotional challenge point of view, there's no way that they can pick up from those cues that the parent, they can only go on what they see and hear.
Absolutely. And children aren't born with the sense of what is normal behavior, what is appropriate communication. They go by what they learn. And so if they see a certain style of communication, a certain style of behavior in the home, they see this as normal. They don't say, oh, my parents aren't communicating in a good way, or they, acting really aggressively, but they just see this is how people behave, and this is what I should expect from the world.
And that will then flow through if you have siblings in the house. One child picks up that passive-aggressive behavior, and we know that siblings normally lean on each other for support. They're there, the brother, sister, brother, whatever the case may be. But how can that kind of impact the relationship with regards to the siblings and moving that forward and growing? And, we want a flourishing relationship with our kids, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and it really can undermine the relationship, and it can undermine it even right into adulthood as well. So if parents are passive-aggressive, if there's a really problematic style of communication and conflict resolution, that might play out in a sibling relationship. So, one example we could think about is, children do sometimes like to compete, and especially siblings, and they might, not be feeling very secure about their position in a family. And so, passive-aggressive behavior in the sibling relationship can be used to undermine one of the siblings. And so, one of the children might really start to use behaviors to make another child look bad, or to kind of feel a little bit better than them. And that can really lead to kind of a very unhealthy family relationship.
Yeah, and this is where it becomes difficult for parents, dealing with siblings, because now who did what? Who's the one in the right? Who's the one that's really being affected by all of this?
Absolutely.
You were speaking about, the fact that obviously it can cause a lot of issues for a child that, picks up passive-aggressive behavior into later adulthood. But at what point, is there a way or a timeline, that we can say, like, listen, this is now becoming a real problem if a child is exposed to that kind of behavior from a young age?
Sure. Definitely. I think children are capable of really a lot of change and a lot of growth. And so I think, children are learning to communicate. So, especially, your nonverbal communication is going to really be developing within those first 5 to 6 years. And, that's a really key area. But even beyond that, children have incredible capacity to change and to grow. So, once they get kind of into that primary school phase, I think they can still learn a lot. And at the same time, you know, it's even possible for adults who, you know, have grown up in, you know, this kind of a family to really start to work on themselves as well, and to kind of think, okay, maybe I have grown up and developed quite a problematic style of communicating my feelings and expressing myself. You know, how is it that I can really work on this?
And this is why it's so important to, I think, to foster those correct ways of dealing with kind of issues within the family from an early age, because we know that unlearning a habit becomes very, very difficult. I want to quickly chat about active aggression and passive aggression, because we've spoken a lot about active aggression. I mean, but what are the real differences if we talk? And is one better than the other?
Sure. I mean, we can think of this as kind of a bit on a spectrum, you know, between active ranging to passive. And so it really depends on how direct is the communication. And so, you know, a passive-aggressive communication, as we spoke about, you know, is really hidden, and it's not really clear why a person is angry, why are they upset. Whereas with active aggression, it is clear.
You know.
You know what you've done wrong. You've been told exactly, maybe with a lot of detail, and you know you're in trouble and why.
Which can be harsh to hear and deal with,
Absolutely.
but at least you know where you stand.
Absolutely. And so active aggression doesn't have to mean that, you know, someone is shouting or someone is swearing or anything like that. It really just can mean that they're expressing their feelings very directly. And I think that's a much more positive way to address issues, is to be very clear, to state, this is, you know, this is what happened, and to explain, this is why it made me feel this way, this is what it made me feel, and this is what I'd really like to see in the future. Very direct, but it doesn't have to be necessarily angry. But of course, when it does come with that, then that's also problematic. When it does come with shouting or anything like that.
Even active, passive, it doesn't matter, but how you kind of bring that about, I think that is the big one as well, because that also depends on how that person then on the receiving end will take it and absorb that information. We're going to be back with Thomas in just a little bit, because we want to get his tips on how to effectively deal with conflict within a family dynamic. We'll be back now. But let's get the blood flowing. It is cold.
It is cold, and you know what? Life is super stressful, and almost any form of exercise or movement can increase your fitness levels while decreasing your stress, and we are here for it. Now, the most important thing is to pick an activity that you enjoy. It can be walking, it can be stair climbing, it can be jogging, dancing, bicycling, you name it. Whatever it is, I think it is an activity that you really need to enjoy, and you don't need to join a gym to get moving. There are so many great ways to do that without having to be, you know, restricted to a gym membership. And here to show us how we can get moving in the comfort of your own home, we have exercise specialist Leisha Fitness. She is here.
Hi.
And I'm loving the purple. I feel like I got the purple
Thank you.
memo.
I don't want to be colourful today.
and we're not pretending it's like 3 degrees Celsius in studio, because you
in
look
the
like it's
football,
summer.
It's like 10 degrees Celsius, you know.
So now we want to decrease stress. We want to make it
Yes.
as convenient as possible. So where are we going to start?
So, I mean, as you mentioned, you know, with stress or anxiety or anything like that, any form of movement's going to release your endorphins, make you feel better, get the oxygen flowing to the blood, and that's essentially what we want.
That's what we want.
So today I have a little treat. I'm giving you some mobility, I'm giving you some strength training with some resistance bands, and of course our HIIT, which gets the heart rate going.
Okay.
So for our first movement today, we're going to start face down, arms straight, feet shoulder width apart. From there, you're going to bend all the way back, press down, and from there, you're going to shoot forward, bring your left leg to the side.
Oh, so we're bringing a little bit of
Yes.
yoga movement
And then you're going
in.
to open up that back. That's it. We're going to bring it back, shoot that leg back and swap feet, and open up again.
What you do on the one side, you have to do on the other
Yes,
side.
you've got to do them both. And then, of course, you shoot back again and you repeat your movement. So that is our first mobility movement for today. Our second one's very nice for the spine and the inside of your legs. You open up nice and wide. Good. You're going to take your right hand, and as you shoot down over here, put your right hand on the side of your ankle, and you're going to open up over there. You should get a little bit of a spine click over there. I don't know if you feel that.
I didn't feel the spine click on this, but I'm pretty sure I'll
You're
feel
going
it
to
on
come
the
back
other
up,
side.
and you're going to swap sides all the way down, and open up, reach up to the ceiling. Good. And you want to give it a nice 2 to 3 second hold on each side, just to have a nice stretch. So that's our mobility for this morning. Secondly, we're going to do some nice strength. I'm going to give you that band over there.
The bigger the band, the less resistance, right?
Sometimes it can also be size, but our bands do work in, obviously, your medium, hard, and easy. So, from here, we're going to work a bit of legs. You're going to step to the right, step to the left, step back to the center, and you're going to do a nice deep squat and come back up. So, of course, with the stepping, you can increase your steps however much you want. So you can go for 2 steps per side, or even 3. That's it.
I love a resistance band. It is the most, a resistance band and a skipping rope is your best friend if you can't get to a gym, if you can't get your full workout
you can do this right at home.
Just intensifies it.
Exactly, and you can also intensify your workout by increasing your time, decreasing your rest periods, increasing your reps, or if you're a little bit scared, maybe start with 5 or 8 reps per movement. Just
get
so you don't
moving.
stress out. Just get moving, people. Okay, from there, we're going to go onto our back with our band on. Lovely. We're going to work some core.
Okay.
From here, head and shoulders off the floor. You're going to open up and squeeze in. You want to keep that band open so that there's tension. So out and in. Out and in. Good. Feeling that nice resistance there on the core?
Yes.
Good. And that's our core movement with the band over there.
I love that. That is quite
Cool.
different.
So that is our band movements. As I said, resistance. You can also add some dumbbells into that. It's nice to have a band on and obviously some weights, just to give you some more effect.
So you said we're going to do mobility, we're going to do some resistance training, and now you promised some hits.
Some hit, you know, we love a good jump in the morning.
Just to warm up, get the heart rate up.
Okay, so again, we're going back to our legs. So we're going to start over here. You're going to step forward 1, step forward 2. Once we get here, you're going to jump. Good. Step back, step back, step back. And again, step 1, step 2, step 3, jump. Step back, step back, step back.
Okay.
Good.
Okay,
Not
a little
too bad, eh?
variation on the jump squat there.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, let's give you one more so we're nice and equal. 6 movements. We're going to go for some core and some shoulders. You're going to tap your shoulders 4 times. Good, and after 4 times, we're going to go for 3 plank jacks. That's it, 2 and 3. And again, 4 shoulder taps. Lovely. And 3 plank jacks. Good. And that is it for the morning.
Oh, I love it. I love that you showed us the different variations.
Yes.
And that was a quick, 4-minute workout that we just did.
Super quick.
You can control the length of your workout. Leisha, we appreciate you being here.
Only a
Thank you.
pleasure. I do what I do.
Listen, she is amazing at what she does, so make sure you follow her on Instagram at Leisha_fitness. And of course, that's where you get in touch with her with regards to personal training and just making sure that you get the best out of your workouts. We hope we encouraged you to get moving today.
Are you the face? We're looking for 3 fabulous women to be the face of Gynagard. Win a Fiat 500, 50,000 Rand cash, CoverGirl status, and so much more. To enter, buy and try any Gynagard product and tell us about it at faceofgynagard.co.za. You could be the one.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on S3. It is a Relationship Tuesday on your Feel Good Breakfast Show this morning, where we delve into various relationship dynamics. Now, growing up in a household where passive aggressiveness is prevalent, bad behavior can spill over onto the children, creating a kind of vicious cycle of avoiding conflict and internalized anger and also discomfort. But it doesn't have to be this way. Now, counseling psychologist Thomas Geffen, let's us get it straight this morning. Thomas, thank you very much once again for joining us. Before we continue our chat, we did get a voice note from Nirmala this morning. Let's quickly hear what she has to say, Nirmala.
Feel Good Expresso team. I love the morning discussion. Mrs. Nirmala Devi Mudli of Omas. I would deal with a conflict situation. Firstly, one without the other, and then bring them together and try and ask them to reapproach. How did it come to be a conflict? And through that, maybe a little bit of reverse psychology here and there, and get them to realize it instead of getting their mindset fixed that it has to be this way or no way at all. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Nirmala. I love her. She always comes up and it looks like she's quite wise.
Absolutely,
Hey?
absolutely.
Separate first and deal with the issues and then bring it together.
What a helpful approach. I mean, sometimes, when people can be just spoken to, separately, then it can just relieve a little bit of the tension and, just that one person coming in and trying to understand both sides, sitting with one person, understanding what are they feeling, sitting with the other person, and then trying to just really mediate a discussion. Now we can bring both sides of that picture together, and maybe actually, there doesn't need to be that conflict or that
Exactly,
problem.
because most oftentimes, I mean, if you don't do it properly, it starts boiling, you lose perspective, and then you kind of tend to forget what is it that we're fighting about in the first place anyways.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because then everything else comes into play as well. Back to passive aggression very quickly. Is it a personality trait, or is it something that is taught? And also, is there a root cause for it? Or is there only one?
I think as it is with so many kinds of behaviors, it's so complex. So I think really we have to consider both sides of nature and nurture. And certainly with many personality traits, and we can also then say the same about passive-aggressive behavior, there are aspects of personality that one can be born with. And if you ask any mother, she might say that, oh, this baby is more of this or more of that, even in the first few months. And so there are aspects of our personality that, right from the earliest moments of our life, we do tend to have. But I think with passive-aggressive behavior, it's probably more on the side of something we learn rather than something that we're born with. But at the same time, both can play a role.
Yeah, look, I could just see it with my kids and how they absorb everything that we do and we say, mannerisms, all of those kind of things. And I think it's important for parents specifically to maybe take a step back and just look at themselves. And it takes a big person to do that, So I think just to help us recognize from a parent's point of view, what does passive aggressiveness look like from a parent perspective? Maybe there's something that, our viewers can identify with this morning to realize maybe I'm not dealing with this the right way.
Absolutely. I mean, we can look at a few examples. I mean, I think one common one with a parent, it might be agreeing to do something for a child. It might be, agreeing to let them, do a certain activity or certain, maybe it's taking them to visit friends, but it's doing it in a way that maybe is done with a really bad mood.
So they almost like feel guilty. Yeah,
yes, exactly. So I think if you are trying to maybe leave your child with a feeling of guilt, they might ask you for something, maybe it's asking for money, and, the parent says, yes, that's fine, but then later along the line, they're grumbling about it, and, they're really maybe, reminding the child in really a negative way that, things are quite tough financially, and, this is really, a very generous thing that I'm doing, and instead of, just doing something for a child, and I mean, talk to them about maybe responsible use of money, but it's really done in a way that leaves them feeling terribly guilty and feeling like maybe they shouldn't have asked, even though the parent did agree to this, and maybe next time they'll rather not ask.
You can understand why this is such a deep rooted issue, because I mean, you say something with, you know, with a positive aspect, but there's this tone, underlying tone of that negativity, which leaves the person on the receiving end, the child in this case, feeling like, oh yes, I know that I'm allowed to, but I still feel bad for doing it. And I can understand how that can cause issues later on in life, which brings me now to, you know, when there are these kind of conflicts, I mean, how do we go about looking at it as a family unit and resolving it properly? What does parents need to do? Do we take that step back and look at ourselves internally first to make sure that there's a healthy relationship and dealing with conflict in a healthy way?
You know, it is so complex. And, you know, I think one of the really key things is to take that step back, as you say, and to think about, you know, maybe especially as a parent who can do that, who's got that emotional maturity, to think, okay, what is going on? And a good place to start with is thinking about, okay, what am I feeling? And
where is this
coming from? And then, you know, that step back really helps. And, you know, maybe if they are dealing, let's say, with a passive-aggressive child, they might want to say, you know, what am I doing to maybe make them not feel safe to express their feelings very openly? Or if they're dealing with their own passive-aggressiveness, you know, why is it that I don't feel able to maybe talk about this more directly? But that step back really helps. And, you know, it just allows, you know, instead of, because often what happens is that the conflict becomes about the behavior or it becomes about something else. And the step back really helps identify what actually is the problem. You know, what is the, you know, the event or you know, the conversation that actually made me feel a certain way or that led to kind of this tension. And if you can identify that, then you can really take some steps to
I think
address.
it's very important for families, especially within the, you know, the context of their own home, to not react immediately. You know, if you know that things can boil over quite quickly, maybe this is an opportunity for you to say, like, hey, before, you know, I do anything, and if there's a conflict situation, just don't react immediately.
Absolutely.
Just stop quickly.
Just stop. You know, it can really be helpful to kind of just take that deep breath and think, okay, you know, what has just happened, and check in. Why did that happen? What am I feeling? And before reacting, just try to just pause things there, and then, you know, you can address the issue.
Take a breath. Thomas, thank you very much. That was fascinating, and you can really understand why this can become such a complicated issue, but it's not all doom and gloom. People with passive-aggressive nature, they can change, and you just got to allow in a family unit to provide that safe space to do so. And if it's possibly you, maybe internalize it a little bit and just reflect, because at the end of the day, your family is your family. We have so little time with them, so you might as well find a way to really enjoy that time together.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, when it comes to our pharmacists, they are not only brave, but they inspire hope within their community. Now, Pharmacy of the Week, it is a short feature acknowledging and saying thank you to brave healthcare workers. And this is proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram, OTC sponsors of Brave. Now, let's take a look at this week's Pharmacy of the Week, the local choice pharmacy, Mom's Dagbreek in Middelburg, Mpumalanga.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
I became a pharmacist to be there for the public, not necessarily because of the medicine, but to serve the public and to be there for the public and help them wherever I can. Our pharmacy is an after-hours pharmacy, so we are open 12 hours a day, every single day of the year. We are only closed on Christmas Day. If there's someone in need, they will know we are always open. Weekends, holidays, every single day till 8 o'clock in the evenings. The staff is one of your most important parts of a pharmacy. One would think the stock or the prescriptions is the most important, but without the staff you can't accomplish anything. So my staff, I'm very proud of my staff. Very friendly group, big diverse group, very dynamic. We're a family. We know about each other's pains and sorrows, and we've cried together, we've laughed together, and that makes Dagbreek Pharmacy a quite knit family.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram, OTC, sponsors of Brave. Inspiring communities, one pharmacy at a time.
Did you know that almost 1 in 5 South African adults suffer from chronic pain? Try new ActivePatch pain relief technology at the push of a button. It's easy to use and can be worn 24/7. Proven to relieve muscle and joint pain, low back and neck pain, arthritic pain, pain from sports injury, plantar fasciitis, and more. Easy to use drug and sensation-free pain relief at the push of a button. ActiPatch, long-lasting pain relief. Ask your pharmacist about ActiPatch now.
There you have it. We want to say thank you to all of our local pharmacies doing some incredible work within their community. We appreciate you.
Bespoke.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. It's your Tuesday morning, and right now we welcome to the Expresso stage a hip-hop rising musician, Imad, who goes by the stage name Grateful. Now, he recently released a rather hot new single called Slippery, which he'll perform for us in just a few, but first we got to know the man himself. Put it there, my man. Imad, lucky to have you. Welcome to your Feel Good Breakfast show, dude.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are we feeling? Are we warm? Is the vocals all sorted this morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's cold outside, but it's warm in here. I'm super happy to be here.
Oh, that's lucky, dude. Listen, you've already amassed such a big following at such a young age already with the release of your first EP back in 2021. But I want to chat about your name, Grateful. What does this mean? Why did you decide to go this route?
You know, I think it all started with something that I like to call a mysterious blessing. When I first released my first song, I ran into some distribution issues. So initially, I'd gone under my actual name, which was Imad. Essentially, some of the tracks that I had released got released under somebody else's name, so I had to think of an alias.
Oh, I see.
So I remember sitting in the car with my brother. Me and him were discussing, yo, what could we go through? What could we use? I kind of wanted to go with something that I could set my reminder, as a reminder. A phrase that really stuck with me was forever grateful. So that kind of was, you know, the answer that came to me at that point, you know, set yourself that reminder so that throughout your whole journey, you can only see gratitude. You only see the blessing in every opportunity you get. You only see the blessing in every situation you're in. So yeah, forever grateful was the saying. You know, grateful is spelled with an 8 If you turn the 8 on its side, what is that? It's forever.
Yeah, forever. I
So,
like that.
Yeah. That's
I like
basically how
that.
it's
And I
done.
think if you're coming from a place of gratitude from the get-go, I mean, you can only, I mean, that's the way that you deal with challenges going forward, which I think you're doing amazingly. Now we look forward to a brand new EP, which I think is Slippery, the brand new single, is going to be the massive track on that one. Tell me about this track, Slippery.
Well, you know, Slippery essentially is one of the first tracks that me and my producer, Soulful Clay over there.
How's it, brother?
Yeah, so it's one of the first tracks that we created. Essentially, you know, Slippery takes a different approach, and I think, you know, sets a good standard in terms of what you can expect for the upcoming EP. As you said, you know, it's one chapter to an entire story.
Yeah.
So, you know, Slippery relates to responsibility, what it means to truly be grateful. And that being the case is, you know, take full responsibility for where you are in life, what you're doing, and just, you know, don't fall into the trap of illusion. Don't slip, don't fall into the trap of an illusion, but rather strive for your true reality. Present your best stage, present the best version of yourself at every stage that you have the opportunity to have.
Look at this.
Attached to that also, you know, we took a different style of approach. So what we did was we tried to make everybody feel a lot more included in the whole process. And we did a full-scale production of every angle of the production. So that's basically from the producer's point of view with Soulful Clay over here, to the mixing and mastering with Amin Haran, to the music video shoot with the Booth Studios.
Jeez.
So all of these things, you know, we try to kind of, you know, put everything together and take a different stance in terms of how we kind of include our audience and how we include our followers and make them feel really special.
I love the fact that you are bringing it back, you know, from Slippery to being grateful, but we want to hear this track, my brother. We want to hear this track. Are you ready?
100%.
All right, my man, take it away. Here he is, Grateful with Slippery.
Okay, don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah, let's go. It's like bless it, undress it, finesse it, confession. She chillin' where it snows, trying to get into my section. I said it, I meant it, I'm grateful, I rep it. Okay. Those who got power sit in silence. If you want smoke, get violent. I do not beef with minimal rivals. Ain't personal, it's survival. Now cutthroat hitter, 8 figures. A gold digger, I'm way slicker. So these sushi off the liquor. Keep getting bigger. I don't want to fall, but I just might pick up. Baby, are you down with it? Oh, are you down with it? We could do a couple more rounds of this. Mess around, get lit. Don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah. Don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah. Let's go, okay, now stepping, big chain flexing. No doubt betting. No. Care wedding, take a trip, private jetting. Location setting, new city checked in. My cash is my best friend. Like, no introduction, quick stash in the cupboard. No fussing, can do this undercover. We're smoking on the blunt, I'm rolling up another. I like you, your best friend and your mother. Oh, you down with it? We could do a couple more rounds of this. Mess around, get lit. Don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah. Don't slip, don't fall. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah, let's go, Everybody at home, try and sing this one with us. You know, we can't hear you, but we feel it. Thank you so much for having us here, Expresso. We really appreciate it. Get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah, yeah. Don't slip, don't fall, get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on it tight. Yeah, yeah. Now, baby, are you down with it? Oh, are you down with it? We could do a couple more rounds of this. Mess around, get lit. Baby, are you down with it? Oh, are you down with it? We could do a couple more rounds of this. Mess around, get lit. One more time, don't slip, don't fall. Get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on a hitter tight. Yeah, yeah. Don't slip, don't fall. Get it right. Probably gon' mess around on the first night. I might blow a bag on a hitter tight. Yeah. Thank you so much, Expresso. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Fantastic first performance by Grateful. Of course, stay tuned. More coming your way right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's a few minutes after 7. Let's quickly look at those national headlines. A number of civil society organizations are challenging the decision to grant Car Powership another opportunity to amend the environmental impact assessment reports for Richards Bay. The organizations have lodged a joint appeal with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Melissa Groves, an attorney with Natural Justice, says proper procedures weren't followed when this decision was made. Meanwhile, the Minister of Electricity says the duration of the Car Powership contracts will be adjusted to be shorter than the initial period of 20 years. And staying with local news, motorists will wake up to cheaper fuel tomorrow morning, with both grades of petrol to decrease by 71 cents per litre, while the wholesale prices of diesel drops 80 cents and 84 cents depending on sulfur content. Illuminating paraffin decreases by 43 cents per litre. The Automobile Association said while the weaker rand reduced the price cuts, it still comes as a welcome relief to motorists after petrol prices in the previous months were increased to more than 23 rand per litre for the first time this year. Moving to news abroad, Canada is on track for its first ever, in fact, worst ever year of wildlife destruction as warm and dry conditions are forecast to persist through the end of summer. There are currently 413 active wildfires, including 249 deemed out of control. Increased wildfire risk, partially because of climate change, is expected in most of Canada through August. Meanwhile, some 200 firefighters from South Africa have arrived in Canada to assist in fighting the raging fires, and a further 200 of their colleagues are soon to join them. And fighting has intensified in Khartoum after a ceasefire deal expired and a new outburst of violence took hold in Sudan with dozens killed. Black smoke billowed above the capital, Khartoum, on Sunday after the truce between Sudan's army and the paramilitary Rapid Response Forces expired hours earlier. Fighting in Khartoum has led to widespread damage and looting, collapse of health services, power and water cuts, and dwindling food supplies. The deadly power struggle in Sudan has also triggered a major humanitarian crisis, with more than 1.2 million people displaced. And for some entertainment news, Nigerian star Burna Boy has won rave reviews for his historic concert in London on Sunday, where he became the first African artist to headline a stadium in the UK. Some 80,000 fans watched the star's sellout show, and to quote, "Words can't explain my emotions right now. There's nothing I'd dreamed more of," said the Grammy-winning star who grew up partly in London. Burna Boy was joined on stage by a succession of stars, including Stormzy, Dave and Popcorn, as well as during the show on the grounds of West Ham United Football Club. Well, there you have it. That's your news for this morning. Let's take another look at your sport.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Let's get into another round of your sporting news. Starting off with soccer, Banyana head coach Desiree Ellis has unveiled the preliminary 36-member squad, which will be narrowed down to 23 players ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Now, Ellis can only select a squad of 23 players that will eventually represent South Africa at the global tournament to be staged in Australia and New Zealand from 20 July to 20 August. Now, veteran defender and former captain Janine van Wyk, who is also the most capped Banyana player, had to withdraw from being selected due to a lengthy list of injuries. Staying with soccer, Celtic boss Ange Postecoglou has agreed to become Tottenham's new manager on a 2-year contract. The Australian has just finished his second season at Celtic, leading them to the Scottish title both years and the domestic treble this term. Now, Spurs have been looking for a new manager since Antonio Conte's exit in March, with Christian Stellini and then Ryan Mason taking interim charge. The final elements of the deal are being finalised before an announcement. Then moving over to rugby news, Neil Powell will relinquish the coaching reins and step back into his role as director of rugby at the Sharks. Powell was the coach of the United Rugby Championship team after Sean Everett was shown the door at the start of the season. New Zealander John Plumtree, a previous head coach of the Durban side, comes into the role again and has the responsibility of leading the Sharks to a first ever semi-final in next season's URC. Now, Joey Mangala will stay on as the defence coach, while Plumtree's other assistants include Dave Williams, Warren Watley and Philip Lemmer. And then tennis news, defending champion Iga Swiatek set up a rematch of last year's French Open final against Coco Gauff by moving into the Roland Garros last 8. Now, Swiatek progressed when Ukraine's Lesia Turenko retired ill. Now, Gauff beat Slovakia's Anna Karolina Schmidlova 7-5 and 6-2. Tunisia's Ons Jabeur moved into the quarterfinals for the first time with a 6-3, 6-1 win over Bernarda Pera and will face Beatrice Haddad Maya. Now, in the men's draw, Casper Ruud continued his bid to reach back-to-back finals by fending off Nicolas Jarry 7-6, 7-5 and 7-5. He will now face Holger Rune in the last 8. It's a roundup of your sports news. Let's now get into a round of your traffic, see what the roads are doing.
Let's look at your roads, starting off in Cape Town, Athlone. There's some congestion building on the N2 inbound at Jakes Gerwel Drive. Do expect delays and allow for more travel time. And in Brakpan, Johannesburg, there's heavy congestion on the N1 southbound. It's before Olifantsfontein Road. Expect delays. Well, that's your traffic. Let's take another look at your weather. And dam levels in the Western Cape have risen by almost 6% since last week. The total storage in the province is almost 70% at present. The largest dam in the Western Cape, the Theewaterskloof, is at 64.3%. Last year this time it was 67.3%. In 2019 it stood at 39.2%, and on the 10th of February its capacity was a mere 12%. The Berg River and Steenbras upper dams are filled to capacity, and the Wemmershoek Dam is just under 70%. More rain for the Western Cape is forecast for tomorrow and into the weekend, so stay warm. But let's get a look at your temperatures for today. If you're in Polokwane, a low of 8 and a high of 20 can be expected. Mbombela, 12.22, Pretoria, 10.23, Johannesburg, 9 with a high of 21. Mahikeng, 10.26, Klerksdorp, 10.26. If you're in Kimberley, 6 is your low, 20 your high. If you're in Bloemfontein, 0 is your low, 20 your high. Richards Bay, 14.23. If you're in Pietermaritzburg, 8 is your low, 22 your high. Durban, 14 with a high of 23. Mthatha, 3.22. East London, 11.22. If you're in Cradock, 3 is your low, 20 your high. Gqeberha, your low is 7, your high 22. George, 7.19. If you're in Cape Town, 11's your low, 17 your high. Worcester, 8.22. Sutherland, 3.14. And Uppington, your low for today is 9 and your high 26 degrees Celsius. Well, that's a look at your temperatures. We never forget about those sunrise views, so let's quickly look at them. Brian from Bloberg is heading to work, stopped at the robot stand, quickly snapped this view. What a beautiful and vibrant orange photo. Fatima from Ottery is showing off this view with a stunning video, looking at the pink streaks in the colors blasting up on the sky. Thank you for that. And Elaine is in Plet and showcasing these breathtaking views overlooking the ocean. What a calm moment. And last but not least, Amanda from Cork Bay captured a perfect view from birds flying. Look at that, absolutely magical. Well, if you have a good morning post to share with us, we would love to see it. In fact, we would love to see that good morning photo of yours. Our number is 063 408 8863.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Now, like you've seen from the temperatures, it is cold. Zoe, get in here quickly for a second because it is time for me to layer up. Because
Yes, you need layers.
Look, I asked for some help this morning and your opinions matter to me. So we have this commuter jacket, we have this beautiful funnel coat as well. And I'm styled in this beautiful knit jersey, all right? But it's not very airtight.
No.
It's about time that I get my layers going this morning.
It is Tuesday, so we asked you to choose. So let's take a look at what the votes are saying. First up,
we have a poll on Instagram, yeah.
Our poll is, so what was option one? It was
So option one was this one.
Okay, that got most of the votes, 67%. And then the last one, which was the jacket, got 33%. So that's Instagram. So let's take a look at what people had to say on social media. Let's take a look at these comments. Norma Parker saying, good morning, A. The funnel coat, definitely.
I like it.
Arlene says, good morning, team. Option A, have a blessed day. So Instagram as well as Facebook is favoring option A. Let's see, are there any other comments or can we just assume A1?
Here we go.
It looks like A is winning. Emilio saying A, the grey funnel coat would suit perfectly. Anna Marie also saying, good morning, Expresso family. Option
That's it, all right.
I don't even see any comments voting for B. I mean, it's not a bad jacket.
You know what I love
Incredible.
about this jacket?
This is a Ewan jacket.
Thank goodness. Thank you, Mzansi. Finally, I can get dressed.
Oh.
All right, let's fix the collar here. How's that?
It looks
How do
good.
we feel? I feel good. And what I love about this is it's got these hidden pockets. You wouldn't know there's a pocket in there, but they've got four. Like
two on the outside?
Like on the inside.
Oh.
It's very nice, but yet it looks so stylish. It looks so elegant. And most of all, nice and warm. Because I'm freezing.
It's all about the pockets, but also for you, inspo to spoil dad and invest in quality jackets and coats that will last for seasons to come. Now you can shop this look as well as the one that didn't win for today, which is also a favorite of mine. You can shop this and a whole lot more at Woolworths and shop it online at Woolworths and get 30% off men's jackets and coats. This offer is valid until the 14th of June and it's only available online. So if you want to get a jump start on spoils for dad, your partner, this is a great deal to capitalize on.
There we
Do you
have
feel
it.
cozy?
Yes.
Warm
Look at
enough?
that. Look at that. I feel good on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We'll be back right after these.
To join FAS, Fathers Against Socks, SMS the number on your screen.
SMS is charged at 75 Rand.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your feel-good breakfast show. It's Expresso on S3. Now, when it comes to name-calling, personal blows and insults, the very ingredients that make up some of the most famous celebrity feuds of our time. Now this morning, as we're focusing on feuds, we're going to take a look at those infamous conflicts that took place in the world of celebs and how they were resolved, if they even were resolved. Now we have our digital content creator, Sebastian Newman. He is joining us this morning to help us unpack some of these feuds, because I know some people had a bit of beef with each other, but I don't know why. So we are here to unpack it.
So I brought a few of them.
Okay.
Just a few, because there are so many, but I mean, we don't have the time for all of them.
No, we don't. So we'll just take a look at a few key ones. Now, if you're a big fan of Sex and the City, you will know Samantha Jones and Carrie Bradshaw. In real life, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall. They have had some drama.
Exactly. So on the show, they seem to be the best of friends, right? But you'll also know that in the third Sex and the City movie, Kim Cattrall wasn't there. She wasn't in the movie at all because...
It was the follow-up. It wasn't a movie. It was the series.
Yes. And just like that.
And just like that.
Sorry. Backtrack. But anyway, what had happened was it had been an ongoing feud behind the scenes for all these years. And then once at an interview in 2018, Sarah Jessica Parker said, I just don't get it. I don't know why she has to be like that. I'm confused.
Okay.
The feud then continued in 2018 when Kim Cattrall's brother passed away. And Sarah Jessica Parker was like, you know what, besides everything, I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to share my condolences. To which Kim came back and she was like, she posted on her Instagram and she's like, you are not my friend. You are not my family.
Sure.
I don't need your support. Stop using this tragic incident of mine to add to your nice girl persona. It's hectic out here, guys.
Oh, and she even tagged her. She wasn't even being cryptic.
She made a whole post. It was like, please stop this.
Okay. But now they've sorted it out, because I see she is making Samantha's coming back.
She's coming back, but apparently they didn't film the scenes together. There's no scenes that they filmed together. So she filmed the series, but not together.
Oh, that's sad. But listen, that is the beauty of TV. You can fake it. You really can. You really can. Now, this one, I feel like I was very invested in because I'm a big Swiftie. Kanye West and Taylor Swift. We know about the feud when he interrupted her big moment to say, Beyonce is the best of all time.
Exactly. So at the 2009 VMAs, he came onto stage and he was like, you don't deserve this. I'm so sorry. Give that back. It's Beyonce's award. To which Beyonce actually came back at another ceremony and was like, you know what, when I was on the come-up, I had my moment. So she called Taylor onto stage and gave her a moment. So Taylor got a moment. But then the feud sort of like diffused. Taylor brought out a song called Innocent. And it was aimed at Kanye and it was like, you know what, we're good. But then Kanye wrote another song called Famous, in which there were some digs at Taylor. And also he used a phone call between the two of them to write the song. Kim Kardashian then came, when she was still married to this man, came and was like, this is what happened, tweeted all these things. So it was just messy. But also on that note, while putting all of this together, Taylor Swift has been feuding with everybody.
She has, but you know what? I just think in that moment, I think Taylor was like 19 at the time. Kanye was in his 30s. To steal such a big moment from her and then to... Okay, like I said, I'm a Swiftie, so I'm a Swiftie here. Let's move over to two ladies I think a lot of the Gen Zs won't know about. Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. They were really cool back in the day.
I think still cool. I think so many people still love them. So theirs goes back to like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse days.
Yes,
like
told you back in the day.
All the way back to that. They were friends there. But then obviously they were on the come up. Both of them had really good careers. So it was this whole like pinning these pop stars, divas against each other.
So it's more of a battle. The media pinned them up against each other.
But then there's also an alleged love triangle with Justin Timberlake that also came in there. Christina then came, it's all, social media brings all these things. Christina went out and said something like, she's a lost little girl that needs some help. And then Britney was like, why are you coming at me? You're supposed to be my friend. Anyway, but then a few years later, Christina came back and was like, we were little girls. It was messy, but you know what? I wish you all the best.
There we go. Listen, there are so many dramas I can't keep up. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. You know what it is? It's when they are such similar genres. amongst the ladies, I think, you know, we just saw that with Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, that's also quite similar.
100%. So they started writing songs about each other and were digging at each other. And then at the Harper's Bazaar New York Fashion Week, Cardi was just like, I've had enough. She took her shoe off and she threw Nicki with the shoe. But then she went onto Instagram and she was like, you know what, I just had it. She came for my parenting skills and my child, and that's where I draw the line.
Okay, well, listen, we have to draw the line somewhere. I mean, do we have time to even talk about the Kardashians?
Quickly. Very quickly.
So Khloe Kardashian, also with ex-bestie of Kylie, Jordan Woods, middleman.
Yes, Tristan Thompson. Cheated, he kissed her, she went on to, instead of going to Khloe and being like, hey Khloe, this happened, I don't know what the hell's going on, can you help me? She went on to Red Table Talk and she was like, this is the story, tried to tell her truth, and Khloe was like, why are you lying? If you're going to try and save yourself by going in public, call me. And also, by the way, you're the reason my family broke up.
No, Tristan's the reason her family broke up. It's, don't blame the other woman. It's the man. He's the common denominator. Okay, I get very invested in these things. Okay, but there we go. Thank you, Bass Newman, bringing us. This was celebrity gossip.
It was.
We just had a lack of gossip.
A Skinner.
A lack of Skinner. Well, these were only a few of the most famous celeb feuds. I feel like we didn't even touch on Hailey Bieber and Selena Gomez, but there are honestly too many to count. So tell us which celebrity feud you remember best and which you followed. For every detail, you're welcome to share that with us on our WhatsApp line. Our number is 063 408 8863.
Oh, all this drama this morning. We gotta love it though. But you know what? If it gets too much, then the best you can do is make yourself a delicious cup of coffee. That way you can take a moment for yourself, take a breath, and just be with yourself. Just remove yourself from that for a second. So I suggest we're gonna be taking a quick break. Go fill up your cup of coffee very, very quickly, because when we come back, we delve further and deeper into those family dynamics with another round of, what did I do wrong? What?
Jacobs 3-in-1, the perfect combination of coffee, milk, and sugar. Jacobs, the magic aroma.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and man, are we having some discussions this morning. Now, we often see ourselves as the protagonist in our own narrative, so it can be rather difficult to be objective when we find ourselves in a disagreement with someone else. And this is when we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, did I do something wrong?
Now, while we focus on the feuds on the show this morning, we've also checked out a popular Reddit forum where people post about dramatic scenarios and ask the internet whether they were justified in doing what they did in the situation. And today's theme is all about that passive-aggressive family feuds that we have been unpacking since the start of this show. So should we quickly give you a scenario?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this is the scenario of what the Reddit user says. He wrote saying, "Am I wrong for telling my pregnant wife that other people have it worse than her?" So he says here, "I'm just going to be brief. My wife has been pregnant for a while now, and it's put a lot of stress on me. I've been doing more hours at work to get more cash ready in time for the baby, and it's been so exhausting. Throughout this all, my wife has been complaining every single day. She's having a difficult pregnancy, so she has my sympathies, but I can't sleep at night because she wants to have these talks or go on a drive because she's stressed."
And furthermore, he says, "I'm really starting to lose it, and she's just constantly complaining. I'm a pretty cheerful person normally, and I absolutely hate hearing people complain constantly because it really brings me down. I'm pretty sure I'm going to crack any second. So I wanted to put an end to this complaining since I just need some light in my life." So this is what he did. He said, "I told her that I'm balancing a job and taking care of you, plus everyone in life has their own challenges, and you can't just whine about it and play the pity Olympics. It's getting old." Ish. Now, she seemed to get it, but it's been a week and she's been noticeably distant. Now I'm frustrated because I miss my wife. I just didn't want her to keep complaining, but I never asked her to stop talking to me at all. All I asked was that she will be a little bit more positive, but she seemed to be taking it the wrong way, and I'm feeling kind of bad." Wow.
Hectic 9-9, right?
It is. You know, I'm going to jump in here. I haven't been pregnant yet, but it is difficult on the woman's body.
Yeah.
I understand he's under pressure. He's feeling that pressure of providing for his family, the soon-to-be, baby that's there. So he's got his own stresses that he's dealing with, but he's not fulfilling her emotional support that she needs from him through this pregnancy. Because, the girl carries the baby, but it is a two-man job.
Got you. But at the same time, he is the problem here because also she's building a whole human. She's trying to stay alive and keep your baby alive.
Yeah.
You are able to still go to work. You are able to do more than she's able to do because she's got to look after this little human that's coming into the world, and she needs your support. That's just how I feel.
Look, absolutely. And you think about it, there's a lot of hormones in play. I mean, there's a lot of changes, like you rightly said, for the woman to go through that. I mean, it's 9 months, that you carry this baby, that you're making a little human being. So the best thing to do is that your partner can just be supportive. And yes, it's not always easy. And I've been through that. I've got 2 boys, and I know what it's been like to go through that. And I think you really, as a husband, need to take on a supporting role. You really got to swallow your pride a little bit and like, I know it's tough and you're doing your best. Yeah, make a bit of a fuss because, it is easy. But then again, at the other side, things can get very challenging.
I have friends who have babies and toddlers. It's going to get worse, sister.
Good luck.
Okay, interesting scenario.
Yeah, so do we have some comments? I want to know what people said.
From social media.
I want to know what people said on this. Yeah. All right, so we don't have any comments at the moment, but if you want to weigh in on this, please let us know. 063 408 8863. Like I rightly said, I think this is really where I think a partner should tread very carefully
and just
on this line.
Be there for each other, man. Have the conversation, but also be like, I'm a bit tired, but what do you need? Yeah. What do you need today from me?
I know it's a tough situation, but they are... Okay, Stradom's going to head through to the kitchen, but this is one of those moments, I think, people, you've taken vows, like for better or worse. This is now one of those challenging seasons in your life. So I hope for that person's sake, they have support around them, people that can just give them some encouragement on how to step into that supportive role, because maybe he hasn't had any role models to demonstrate how to be that supportive person. Okay, well, there you go. That was our morning gossip. Of course, this theme for the show is all about feuds, family feuds, passive aggression, and we are finding different ways to solve it.
Oh, you know what? I had to quickly remove myself from that conversation because I was smelling something happening in the kitchen. Because this is going to be lekker. Now, winter weather doesn't always allow for an outside braai, but that doesn't mean that you cannot have a classic South African grill. Chef Clem, he's here to share this ultimate air fryer braai platter with us. My friend.
I thought the topic was family food.
Of course it is.
And that's why
we're making food for the family.
Hey, if there's one way to end a feud, it's food. So we got it. We got it.
I like it. Listen, but we are doing a South African style grill using an air fryer.
Yeah.
So as it nou reën buitekant and you don't have a ducky, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, if you're missing an afdak or if it's like 5 degrees like it is outside here, hey, a puffer jacket always works. But
don't stand too close to the fire with a puffer jacket, that's for sure.
That's also very true. This is a
you become part of the bribery.
This is a really great way to create that hiss using an air fryer. And I also came up with this platter because understandably, not every South African is able to just start a fire and light a braai. So we kind of like adding a few elements to give you that vibe, that braai vibe.
Okay.
Starting with, you want to make a braai broodjie.
Oh, you can't do a braai without a braai broodjie.
Yes, and I'm obsessed with these sandwich thins.
Yes.
They do make the best braai broodjie canvas because it fills your braai grid from end to end, top to bottom, and you're able to feed a lot of people in one go, especially with that person that says, come to the braai 5.
Okay.
And you know they're only going to eat at 9. Get the braai broodjies going. Okay, so...
You won't be sorry. Okay.
So we've got 2 cheeses. We've got the cheddar and we've got the mozzarella. Braai days are usually quite busy. Don't fuss too much around with having to slice or grate cheese. Get the Woolies sliced cheese already.
Done, dusted.
And again, the sizes fit perfectly. So we're going to go for like a jalapeno popper-inspired braai broodjie. It's cold outside. This is going to warm you up. So super simple. Jalapenos, red onion, cheddar, and mozzarella. And what I like to do is I like to do a slice of cheese over each slice of bread, and then the filling goes in the center, so the cheese gets enough contact to get that perfect melt. That's it. So if I can ask you to do that for me.
100%.
In the meantime, I've got some lamb chops. So
some lamb chops.
We're gonna go nice and quick and high with this one. So we got these lamb, and they don't take too long to cook. What I do is I season them, then I pop them in the air fryer, just salt and pepper.
Okay.
What you want to do is you want to render some of that fat out, get some of that fat on the fat side, a little crispy. But we're going to fast forward a little bit today.
Go for it.
So salt and pepper, very important. You always, like meat, people under-season their meat and they're wondering why like the flavor's not coming through. It's probably because you haven't added enough salt.
Ah, you see now.
There we go. Starting family feuds. So, salt goes on. We are going to baste this, but that's why I say you want to get salt and pepper first, get some of that fat out, then hit it with the basting. You don't want the basting to burn. You know that dad, hey, Father's Day is coming up, that dad lie when the meat is burnt, and the dad goes, no, it's just a marinade.
It's just a marinade.
Just a marinade.
Can we just relax?
Okay,
oh my goodness.
Get that on there. We're going to pop it onto our grill setting. Again, we're going to get some of that smoky flavors happening. Another way I'm going to mimic that smoke is the smoky cassie sauce.
Ooh,
okay,
I like that.
Go. The smoky cassie sauce, it's got some serious umami, and it's got this like the smoky flavor that kind of like makes you think braai.
Sure. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
I like that.
So we're gonna get that on. Get that into your air fryer, and I love this versus from Instant Vortex. It's big, and I'm saying it's like.
Now that's a tray.
That's it.
That's a tray.
So what we're gonna do is give them some space. Give them some room, some of the air to circulate. And it's going to start crisping up real quick. As soon as you can see that skin's turned a light golden brown, and little, I'll say dry, in the sense that you can tell that fat's been rendered. That's when you start hitting it with that cassie sauce and start basting it.
I see. So not from the get-go.
Not from the get-go,
I like that.
So how you do, that's looking so good.
Look at that.
Okay, so check out this cheese pull, okay? This is pretty epic. That cheese pull is what happens when you get the cheese, the 2 types of cheeses.
Yeah.
The cheddar gives you a lot of flavor. Your mozzarella gives you that cheese pull, that creamy flavor. Yesterday, we had Susie O'Regan in the studio talking about the mozzarella. It's delicious. Go get that on there. And also, whose hands are those?
I wonder. Yes. That must be a professional hand model.
You know.
Must be a professional hand
My
model.
other job. Cool.
So listen, this whole braai platter can be found in the latest edition of the Taste magazine.
Absolutely. So I've got a whole braai air fryer story inside that issue, in this month's issue. It's absolutely amazing. I've got like a good selection of recipes we haven't tried just yet in the air fryer. Things like sausage rolls. We've got coconut crusted prawns in there.
Ooh.
We've got, you know what? I'm not going to tell you about it. Tomorrow in Culinary Hotline, I'm going to show you. I'm going to actually just do the recipes from the magazine tomorrow in Hotline. So if you have any air fryer questions or suggestions, let us know on the hotline. Do you know the WhatsApp number? 063 408 8863. Send your voice notes now already.
There we go.
Cool. So white barbecue sauce.
Is that it? Sorry, that's it, eh?
You can do a little brush of butter, pop it in the air fryer as well. The air fryer gives a nice circulation of air, even melt, even crisp, even color.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do. A white barbecue sauce, very quickly, is mayonnaise, and use the good stuff. Garlic powder. Okay. Red wine vinegar for that twang.
For the twang.
How do you pronounce this?
Soy sauce.
No, it's the other one.
Oh, what is that?
It's Worcester sauce.
Oh, that's Worcester sauce. My brain was going hoisin.
Hoisin. Hey, and that's just the umami talking, right?
That's it.
The intenseness, that's going to go in.
Some Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. I just love how people say it. Oh, it's amazing.
That's Worcester sauce, bro. Worcester sauce.
There we go. We're going to mix it all up. That garlic powder, you want to keep on mixing until all those lumps disappear. What happens with this sauce is pretty crazy. You get this umami flavor, like we said, from the Worcester sauce. And then you get that tangy twang from the mayonnaise, but the garlic comes through and makes it very savory.
Yeah.
And then that acid that we've added in the vinegar just brightens absolutely everything. It's so delicious, so packed full of flavor. You never expect just those ingredients to like make such a huge impact.
Exactly. Oh,
so
it looks lovely.
Here's the scenario. Okay. You've got your, sausage, of course. Sausage goes in there as well. You can see the mix over there. Everything joins into the air fryer. Once I start basting, that's going to also add the sausage, because now they're going to cook at the same time. So
the sausage is fairly quick as well.
It's very
especially in the air
quick,
fryer.
Going with your lekker braai broodjies. And here's what, we're going to flip things up. A braai platter for breakfast. Why not?
I agree with you 100%.
Right?
I agree with you 100%. Why not?
All that protein, all the goodness of Mother Africa, and then you go and take a hike afterwards.
There we go.
You know, I'm telling you, we're going to start things braai, broodjies, and braai platters for breakfast.
That's it. But us South Africans and our constitution, we can eat braai whenever. It doesn't matter. Okay, so braai broodjies are done. I've glazed it a little bit with some butter. They look delicious. So they go in like afterwards, because they're quick.
Right, because you want your meat, always let it just rest before you start serving it. While it's busy resting it, during that time, and it doesn't even take 10 minutes, and again, we just layer the verses on full of all those sandwiches and get them cooking at once. Not even 5 minutes, you got a beautiful golden crust, perfect melt. It's so good. And the jalapenos aren't like blow your head off. They're like, how's it? Are you well? That's where they at.
And just pop out and say, hey, hello.
That's it. And I'm telling you, you can obviously go to Woolies, go to the deli section, grab some of the curry noodle salad, get some of the potato salad, make it a whole like smorgasbord of a meat platter, but essentially, breakfast is sorted.
It's done, but it's also nice that these things are so readily available. It's quick in the air fryer as well, so you can plan a braai very quickly with your friends. And you don't have to spend a lot of time prepping it as well. Clem, thank you very much, my man. I can't wait to tuck into this. Make sure if you want to get your hands on the recipe, you can either get your hands on the latest edition of the Woolworths Taste magazine or on our website, expressoshow.com. Ek is nou reg vir 'n braai.
Let's go.
Check this. This My Goals Plus account gives you cash back on groceries and 25 cents back per litre at BP. That's lit.
Lit in 2023.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Nice and chilly Tuesday morning. This discussion coming up right now, I think it's fascinating because one of the easiest ways we know to immerse yourself in another culture when traveling is by going to restaurants or local vendors and eating local cuisine. Now, knowing each country's tipping etiquette, it is vitally important because if you tip too small in some countries, it can be seen as rather offensive, while other countries don't really accept tips at all. Now, what quantifies how much you must tip? What are the rules? Are there any rules? Now, we look at some of the unofficial rules and etiquette around the world, and Sebastian Newman and Clem Pedro, foodies in the field, join us to share some of their knowledge. Gents, this is one of those things. I think it's interesting because I don't think a lot of people think about this before they maybe take a trip overseas with regards to tipping etiquette, because we all know that, like I've said, you go there, you experience culture through food, and that's where you also meet the most interesting people. So let's start maybe in the United States. What is the tipping etiquette?
So in the United States, it is said that it's actually very important because in the US, it's illegal that waiters get paid less than minimum wage, right? So a lot of your tips make up part of their wages, right? So it's considered that you must be between 15 to 20%, a little bit of a higher tip for people, but also I think that in general with tipping, there's this like unspoken rule. So like you just tip what you think is your this is enough for you. But that also goes back to when there were Americans back in the olden days. They were able to travel to Europe and they saw that servers were being paid for good service. So that's how it started. And also in the US, you tip everybody. Your hairstylist, the car valet person, everything.
So that's definitely something to take into account coming from South Africa, traveling to the US. I mean, we tend to be a little bit stingy with our money. It is what it is. And then other countries like Asia as well, because I remember being in China once before, and I don't know, they're not really big on tipping there because it is a pride thing. And I went to a local restaurant and obviously, like we know, it's like, oh, you got to give a tip, the service is really good. And they didn't understand, what am I doing?
And that's so amazing, and that's like the research you do have to do before you travel, because
you don't want to offend anyone.
I mean, besides offending other people, you can get almost like shamed for not tipping. But then you go in with that mentality, and then you go to Asia where they almost take offense to the fact that you are tipping. So it's quite a conundrum, and it's the research you have to do before you start traveling, the percentages and the etiquette and how it's all done. For me, I find it a little shocking how America is like so stuck. Like their tips are everything. And I mean, you kind of wonder, like, if the restaurants do pay a little higher, would the patrons then visiting have that pressure on them?
I also feel like it's a pressure because now you're like, I'm gonna support this person's livelihood. I'm trying to eat my
How many
food.
kids do you have? Oh, okay, that's already 50% of the time. Like, it gets pretty intense. But I mean, not to say, like, South Africa also gets a little confusing sometimes. But wait, let me not jump forward. Let's stay international. Let's stay international.
But also in Asia, the only place that it's considered where you must tip is a place like Bangkok. So if you go to Bangkok, you have to tip between like 10 to 15%, which is like the general...
Or kind of round off the bill.
In Japan, they see it as part of their culture to be of good service to you. So it's a compliment, and all they want in return is a thank you in their language.
Yeah, you see. So and then if you go about tipping them.
I love that for them.
No, but I think that is fantastic because it is that pride element. But again, you do want to reward somebody for good service, So it is difficult, and that is why the research is vitally important because it's in our nature. We want to do that. Just quickly jumping over to Europe. What's the deal there? What do we need to know? What do you guys know about tipping there?
So with Europe, it's said to be a little bit more relaxed, right? And in Spain, for example, you don't have to really tip. So there's a lower tip. So it's like between 5 to 10%. But I think that it's also very much on you. Like it's on you in that case because there's no like laws around it. I do know, I also found in the research that in Italy, there's a bill you pay for the bread that, when you go to a restaurant, it comes to your bill. And also in Europe, a lot of the times they just add the tip to your bill anyway, so you don't have to add an extra tip.
And that's something that I'm seeing quite a lot happening in South Africa as well, where they're adding that service charge to your bill already. And I think that might help with a little bit of the confusion as to how we should be tipping, but then it might also make it seem like, you've included that service charge, but then do you still add a little on top of that? That's still quite like something Because
also most of the times, the tip gets split between the people, because obviously as the waiter you're able to receive a tip, but people at the back of house, they don't get tips.
And most oftentimes they all share.
They share it also now, but like also is that pressure on us? Like, is it our problem?
Do I become a stakeholder in this restaurant? It's a lot, yeah.
Because also when you go pay these times and they give you the card machine, it says there, would you like to add your tip? How much percent would you like to add?
But that is the question. I know that this discussion focuses around, okay, so how do other countries view tipping? But we also want to know from you at home, what do you base your tip off of? Is it the service? Is it the suggested tip value? How do you view tipping? I think maybe here in South Africa, and we're going to continue with that conversation in just a bit.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Well, listen, it's time for some honesty, so hold on to your coffees. It's time to spill the beans.
It's time to spill the beans.
Oh, Stradum, I'm glad you can join me this morning. I've made us some Jacob's iced cappuccinos. Now, the salted caramel. Now, what's amazing is you can drink this hot or cold. How fun is that?
Oh, I love it. I'm opting for hot this morning, though.
Yes, we want all the hot that we can get, but it's got that salted caramel flavor coming through. You get it with each sip.
That is lovely. That is lovely.
Absolutely
Now we are talking about,
tipping
this morning, and
do you feel like, when you get bad service, how do you handle a situation where you get bad service and you're at a restaurant?
Look, I am pretty much, of the opinion, when I receive bad service, then there's no way I'm going to reward that. That is just how I feel, because if I put myself in a situation where I provide a service, I would want to give a good service, and I want that service to be recognized within my manner, how I go about it, the conversations that I have, not to be too overbearing, whatever the case may be. But I am of the opinion, if in South Africa, where we are, service quality is for me a big thing, especially if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go spend my hard-earned money, a lot of it on a fantastic meal, which I hope is fantastic, but then the service that accompanies it isn't the greatest. I will be very reluctant, I wouldn't lie, to actually do tip.
See, so I like to think I'm a very generous tipper because I was a waitress. So I understand the dynamics of often what these waiters and waitresses go through. I feel like I use my judgment. Like if I'm not happy with the food, it's not the waiter's fault.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the kitchen's issue.
Yeah.
But, I think a lot of people, you don't know. Maybe that person tried to phone in sick and it happens. The boss is like, no, you're coming in. Or they're at work and they get an urgent, family matter and they can't leave. So that also affects their service, which I get. So if I get bad service at a restaurant, I give them, I'll round it off to as close to 10%.
Yeah.
But generally, I tip 15%. So I like to think I'm a generous tipper, but if it's bad service, you're going to get the bare minimum tip from me.
Yeah, look, we want to hear from you as well. This is what we put a question out on social media to you. So let's see what everyone had to say. Here we have Danielle Stevens coming through, says, I tip a waiter anyway, no matter the service. They're on their feet all day and it's not easy and I feel it for them. Okay, I like that. I hear you, Danielle. Twin says, not acceptable if the service is bad. Okay, remember, we are not here to fix the world with our kindness.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's take a look at more comments. Mpadi says, no, I usually don't refuse to give a tip, even after a bad service. I just think that maybe the person has had a bad day and then I forgive them and smile. We go through a lot silently.
All right.
That's true. Nadia says, yes, I do. If the waiters show no regards for customer satisfaction, then they do not warrant a tip.
Yeah. Look, it's as easy, as simple as that. And I understand that, we all go through our own things. But at the end of the day, you're at your workplace. You are expected to be professional. We always say, check your personal problems at the door and carry on. And I think, if anything, level of service plays a huge part in the experience that you are having, and that can either make or break it.
Yeah,
so that's why I feel strongly about it. If you're going to give me bad service, I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's not the food, it's the actual service. So that's just my opinion.
Well, there you have it.
I'm going to enjoy my coffee now.
If you are ready to spill the beans, then you might be our next lucky winner. Now, do you think it is acceptable to refuse to tip if you really received really bad or rude service? Spill the beans with us on the Expresso Facebook, Twitter or Instagram pages using the #WithJacobs. Now, one lucky viewer will stand the chance to win an incredible Jacobs coffee hamper plus a KitchenAid stand mixer worth 12,000 Rand. What an incredible prize. But for all of those T's and C's, you can visit our website, expressoshow.com.
You make a mean cup of coffee, Zoe. This is good.
You're welcome.
Here's to the coffee magicians. The ones who know what you get out starts with what you put in.
Bespoke.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3, and joining us this morning is young musicians set out to be a big star in South African hip-hop industry. It is grateful, and we are extremely grateful to have him here. He's got some catchy beats, and your lyrics, I mean, it speaks directly to Gen Zs, which I think a lot of young ones are easily influenced by the media that they consume. So how do you hope your talent and your lyrics can reach them?
You know, we pray and we strive that my music, my dedication towards my passion may inspire all of us, you know, to be able to display the best version of ourselves at any stage of our lives, and that no amount of criticism or praise may stand in the way of us reaching our destination, this most beautiful treasure that we call life.
Well, see, already inspiring everyone here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Now, I wanted to know from you, I heard earlier when you were chatting to you and just before your first performance, you mentioned that you got to work alongside Amin Harran, as well as, is it Soulful City, with your upcoming...
Soulful Clay, right?
Soulful Clay? And you've got your upcoming EP coming out. What are you looking forward to it? How are you hoping people will receive it?
You know, I think being grateful, you know, it's safe for myself to not attach, it's safe for me not to attach myself to any expectations. You know, the result of the present can only be, that can only define what's next and what's coming up next. So right now, I don't have any expectations on how people should receive it. I definitely think it's going to be a bit of a surprise because you're going to be seeing a lot of a different side of myself. Working with producers like Soulful Clay, you know, we went into every studio session trying to put the best foot forward, trying to do whatever is best for the project and putting ourselves kind of second. So I definitely think it's a new standing point. It's a more refined sound, more relatable lyrics, all of these things. But, you know, I'll leave it up to the people to kind of let me know what they think about it.
Well, it is all up to you. We are super excited to have Grateful in studio for a second performance. Here he is with Equality.
You guys might know this one. If you don't, you will. Yeah, now I'm searching for equality. Could you show me where to go? Our rights should be priority, at least that's why we vote. But we still got crack sales the corner of our roads. Running from the tax man, a daughter left alone. And while I multiply my stacks, try to do the most. Power to the black man and to my colored folks. We can take it to the flats, man, or we can take it to the coast. God made us different, rolling with the same souls. Mentally, I know I'm shifted, gotta keep my head lifted. Man, I know I'm gifted, confined, like with precision on a mission. Roll the reaper, I was born just like Caesar. So now let's follow the leader while I pop off like a geezer. Grateful for this La Vida, going loco in this. Forever thugging, getting honeys while I'm getting rich. I gotta keep my mind on my money. Isn't sin or a crime. Most of these hitters I find them funny from the look in their eye. I won't deny I'm living covered till I looked outside. I took a look outside. Now I feel it in my soul now. Baby, where you wanna go? We could take it to the top, I know how. And I'll be there at your lows. There's a party in the west, we in the coast south. Can you picture our roll? Can you picture our roll, yeah? Can you picture our roll, yeah? Can you picture our roll? Can you picture our forever grateful, 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 grateful.
Yo, what a lekker performance. Stick around. We've got one more heading your way in your Feel Good Breakfast Show this morning. Right now, let's get into a last round of your news headlines this morning, starting off with your national news. Nandipa Magadumana's legal representative, Machini Motlong, is to file an appeal against the verdict of the High Court in Bloemfontein against her urgent application to declare her arrest in and deportation from Tanzania as illegal. Now, the court dismissed Magadumana's application with costs. Judge Philip Loubser said Magadumana had agreed to be returned to South Africa. However, Motlong said he believed Loubser had erred in his judgment and he wasn't convinced that Magadumana had granted permission. Motlong said another court may come to a different conclusion. And a number of civil society organizations are challenging the decision to grant Car Powership another opportunity to amend their environmental impact assessment reports for Richards Bay. Now, the organizations have lodged a joint appeal with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Now, Melissa Groves, an attorney with Natural Justice, says proper procedures weren't followed when this decision was made. Meanwhile, the Minister of Electricity, Kosiensho Ramakgopa, says the duration of the Car Powership contracts will be adjusted to be shorter than the initial period of 20 years. Making international news headlines this morning, Kenya's President William Ruto has officially opened the second UN Habitat Assembly in Nairobi. The president says the assembly comes at a time when his government is committed to changing the lives of Kenyan people. The assembly will be aiming to find ways of transforming the lives of the poor and those who live in informal settlements by providing sustainable and affordable housing. Kenya is home to one of the largest slums in the world, and Ruto says the biggest challenge to transformation is inequality. And Canada is on track for its worst ever year of wildfire destruction as warm and dry conditions are forecast to persist through to the end of the summer. Now, there are currently 413 active wildfires, including 249 deemed out of control. Increased wildfire risk, partially because of climate change, is expected in most of Canada throughout August. Meanwhile, some 200 firefighters from South Africa have arrived in Canada to assist in fighting the raging fires, and a further 200 of their colleagues are soon to join them. And we're ending off with this rather interesting and, I think, fantastic story. A man paralyzed in a motorcycle accident is walking again after a surgical procedure aided by artificial intelligence. Now, Gert Jan Oskum, 40, was paralyzed from the waist down, and with the help of AI, researchers at Lausanne University Hospital in Switzerland built what they call a digital bridge between his brain and spine, bypassing his injuries. And this made it possible for him to think about moving, and his body followed his thoughts. How incredible is that? Now, Oskum's cause is the first successful procedure of its kind, and researchers hope to bring it to more people very, very soon. Definitely looking forward to the applications of this groundbreaking discovery. That's your news headlines, and the last one as well for your Tuesday morning. Let's get into the last round of your sports. Starting off with your soccer news, Banyana head coach Desiree Ellis has unveiled the preliminary 36-member squad, which will be narrowed down to 23 players ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Now, Ellis can only select a squad of 23 players that will eventually represent South Africa at the global tournament to be staged in Australia and New Zealand from 20 July to 20 August. Veteran defender and former captain Janine van Wyk, who is also the most capped Banyana player, had to unfortunately withdraw from being selected due to her lengthy list of injuries, but we do wish them all the best in their build-up to the World Cup. Staying with soccer, Celtic boss Ange Postecoglou has agreed to become Tottenham's new manager on a 2-year contract. The Australian has just finished his second season at Celtic, leading them to the Scottish title both years and the domestic treble this term. Now, Spurs have been looking for a new manager since Antonio Conte's exit in March, with Christian Stellini and the then Ryan Mason taking interim charge. Now, the final elements of the deal are being finalised before an announcement. Moving over to some rugby news this morning, Neil Powell will relinquish the coaching reins and step back into his role as director of rugby at the Sharks. Powell was the coach of the United Rugby Championship team after Sean Everett was shown the door at the start of last season. New Zealander John Plumtree, a previous head coach of the Durban side, comes into the role again, and he has now the responsibility of leading the Sharks to a first-ever semi-final in next season's URC. Now, Joey Mongalo will stay on the defence coach, while Plumtree's other citizens include Dave Williams, Warren Whiteley and Philip Lemmer. And then tennis news, defending champion Iga Swiatek set up a rematch of last year's French Open final against Coco Gauff by moving into the Roland Garros last 8. Swiatek progressed when Ukraine's Lysia Turenko retired ill. Now, Gauff beat Slovakia's Anna Karolina Svitolova 7-5 and 6-2, and Tunisia's Ons Jabeur moved into the quarterfinals for the first time with a 6-3, 6-1 win over Bernarda Pera and will face Beatrice Haddad-Maia. In the men's draw, Casper Ruud continued his bid to reach back-to-back finals by fending off Nicolas Jarry 6-7 or 7-6, 7-5 and 7-5, and he will now face Holger Rune in the last 8. That's a wrap of your sports headlines for your Tuesday morning. Let's get another look at your traffic and weather.
Thank you, Strydom. Let's start off with traffic in KwaZulu-Natal in Umzinto. There's protesting on Riverside Park in Umzinto. The road has been closed. Please use an alternative route and stay safe. And in Centurion, Johannesburg, due to a tanker fire, there are heavy delays in and around Centurion. Please plan your route accordingly. Staying in Johannesburg and Randburg, there's been an accident on the N1 northbound after the ramp from Beyers Nudia. The 2 left lanes are closed. Please drive carefully. And that's your traffic for this morning. Let's take a final look at your weather. And we've had some environmental news from Durban, is that famous long-distance swimmer and passionate ocean conservationist Sarah Ferguson is organising an open water swim at Durban's beachfront on Saturday to celebrate World Oceans Day. The event has 4 distances that will suit all swimmers. This is the first time since COVID, the chemical spill into the sea at Umhlanga during the 2021 looting and violence, and large-scale sewage spills during the 2021 floods, that the event is able to be held. Ferguson, founder of the non-profitable organisation Breathe Conservation, says their aim is to eliminate single-use plastic. Let's take another look at those temperatures, starting off in Limpopo. If you're in Polokwane, a low of 8 and a high of 20 can be expected. Mbombela 12-22, Pretoria 10-23, Johannesburg 9 with a high of 21. Mahikeng 10.26, Klerksdorp 10.26. If you're in Kimberley, 6 is your low, 20 your high. Bloemfontein 0, reaching a high of 20. Richards Bay 14.23, Pietermaritzburg 8.22. If you're in Durban, a low of 14 and a high of 23 can be expected. It's sunny in Mthatha, 3 is a low with a high of 22. East London, your day starting off with 11 with a high of 22. Cradock 3 reaching a high of 20. Gqeberha 7.22, George 7 with a high of 19. If you're in Cape Town, 11 is your low, 17 your high. Worcester 8.22, Sutherland 3.14, and Uppington, your low for today is 9, your high 26 degrees Celsius. Well, that's a look at your temperatures. Let's take a final look this morning at those sunrise views that you love to share. We head on over to KwaZulu-Natal, where Yogi from Durban shared this beautiful photo. Kevin in Hillcrest is showing off these beautiful pinks beaming through the sky. And look at that bird even enjoying a beautiful little view. Poppy in KwaZulu-Natal is out and about taking a walk and enjoying the feeling so positive. And we love this beautiful photo that we are seeing on our screens right now. Tacy from Veldrift shared this picture perfect moment. Look at those beautiful colors. We love seeing that. Well, if you have a beautiful moment to share with us, we would love to see it. Please WhatsApp us. Our number is 063 408 8863.
Oh, Zoe, you know what, those temperatures, I promise you, I can't promise that this is my last cup of coffee. I'm all in this morning, and I enjoyed the Jacob's Iced Cappuccino Salted Caramel so much earlier on that I am having a second cup. Zoe, I also made you one. So if you want to come grab it, you're more than welcome, because you know what, this can be enjoyed hot or cold, but with those chilly winter temperatures, here we go. I'm opting for a nice, steamy, hot cup of coffee this morning. You know what? A good cup of coffee can really turn your entire day around. So do yourself a favor. Try out the Jacob's Iced Cappuccino Salted Caramel. You will not go wrong. You will have one after the other, that's for sure. So best believe right now, go fill up your cup of coffee. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we delve into the rest of this Tuesday morning. Stick around.
Making an iced cappuccino with thick creamy froth is now impressively easy.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it, Mzansi. You are tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on S3. Hope you're staying warm out there. Right, up next, when you are born affects your attitudes, your perceptions, your values, your behaviors. And this is why we box individuals into certain generations, be it baby boomers, millennials, Gen Zs, all of those. Now, this means that each of them has their own characteristics and are different from both generations before and after them. Now, here to talk more about those differences is the founding director of the Family Counselling Centre, Andrea Nettle, and senior counsellor, Sue Ann Richardson. Ladies, welcome, welcome. I love this because we were just saying off air, we need like a whole hour, a whole day to start discussing this. But how would you define generational behaviour? What are some of those contributing factors? Let's start off there.
We kind of were, when we were discussing it beforehand, we were thinking that there is two kinds of generational behaviours. One is what you were alluding to is sort of the Gen Zs, the baby boomers, the millennials, and Generation X, the forgotten generation. But then there's also the intergenerational behaviour patterns. So, and that often gets juxtaposed on what is influencing the generation more. When, the time that they're born, or how they were growing up.
Oh, I see, because, I mean, that can cause, obviously a lot of conversation on its own as well.
Yes.
Are there key differences when it comes to generational behaviour with regards to attitudes, values, behaviours that you in your professional space have been able to identify and see?
Again, it's interesting. We did some research before we came, of course, and it really depends on what sphere of life you're looking at. So there's been a lot of research about workplace differences. And I think in workplace differences, we can definitely see key attitudes and behaviors and how do managers address certain generations to get maximum work output. So that is there. But in our work, it's more the intergenerational stuff that we see in terms of how parents have raised their children. And there are patterns there, sure. If we think about how our philosophies and perspectives on parenting, how that's adapted and changed, then obviously that influences the next generation. So we're definitely seeing rises in like self-esteem. I read an interesting article about key narcissistic tendencies that are on the rise. And yet we are also seeing massive anxiety increase in suicide. So the two seem to be contradicting each other. So yes, to answer your question, there are patterns and key attitudes. But what we're finding in our line of work is the life that people live definitely influence those attitudes.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a look at, how we grew up as kids, it's vastly different to how kids are being raised today. And yes, it does stem from how parents go about interacting with their children. Work and pressures and those have obviously increased as well over the recent years. But at the end of the day, we've got so much else that can affect us, things like YouTube and, feuds and the way that the speaking, So how does all these kind of factors, I think, translate into places like the workplace? Because now you're dealing with maybe a company owner, that's, born in the 80s, or say now you have somebody young that's been born in the 2000s, who brings a whole new dynamic to the workplace. How do we kind of look at that?
From our side, what we've experienced is that there are these stereotypes, obviously, and they are based on truths. Like you say, as a Gen X, we grew up with much less electronics and cyberspace awareness. But we have found that there's often this misconception that just because somebody is born in the 2000s, they will know more about technology than somebody that is born in the 60s kind of thing, because it's also a personal thing, the interest levels. But I do agree with you that the environment is forming the generations. And I remember being at one of the talks about when they were figuring out what is a generation. And a generation is basically depicted by what can that generation remember. For instance, you get the millennials, which were the people who were growing up around about 2000, and then 9/11 came. So which was 2001. So the generation shifted because the world was different after 2001. So these kids born probably, 3 or 4 years before that, they now don't know the world prior to 9/11. And therefore, their worldview is very, very differently shaped than people who grew up in a world prior to 9/11. So it is the world events that shape it, and it's the technology that shape it, but it's also sort of the, which is big at the moment, is sort of that social media component on what is trending and what is important to the industry, whatever industry you might be in, and what people are taking from it and what gets perpetuated through social media.
Absolutely. And I mean, that is such a big factor because, I mean, that's where, I mean, you base a level of importance on something in your own life as a youngster in today's day and age. Just something like social media, it's something that the parents might not fully understand, but they deem so much or get so much value out of that. But I mean, it becomes rather interesting when you take a look at somebody that, you know, has been growing up in a more modern space, like I've mentioned, the workplace especially, because now you have a young person stepping in and, you know, they obviously want to or go about doing things the way that they've experienced it and learned about things, you know. Can it cause a lot of conflict? And how do we view that? How do we deal with that kind of generational gap?
So it's interesting. If we look at the workplace, we have now I always get confused. So you've got the baby boomers, all right? And there was this increase in individualization that happened towards as they were growing up. And then you see an increase in that trend. So it's not always that the generational differences are what's the word I'm looking for? Almost a surprise, right? Sometimes we see continuous increases in certain things happening, like individualization. So with every generation that increases, but that has an impact on the workplace. So what is interesting is that if you look at the baby boomers, there was much more structure, much more, you know, the workplace is like this. You must work in the same job for 30 years. You sit in your little cubicle, you do your thing.
You don't even have to go to an office.
Well, there's that. So, and then the next generation, you see, I suspect what happened is that we all respond to our parents and our experiences. We either choose to copy it or we choose to reject it. And what seems to be happening is that people, so in that generation, there was a lot of rejection. We don't want this. We're not happy in this space. We don't want it. So we're raising our children differently. We're not going to raise our children the same way. Children can now be heard, can now be seen. So now you have a generation of wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen, wanting to be recognized, entering into the workplace. They don't want a lot of supervision. They don't want a lot of input. They want freedom. And they did better like that. I mean, research is showing that let them go, let them work, give them their cues, and then they're better for it.
Sorry, that was our
Yeah,
sign
but
for...
yes, I saw that.
You took us by surprise there. We're going to be back with our lovely ladies in just a little bit, continuing that generations. There's so much to talk about. Stick around.
Oh, well, listen, we are back with one of our best, Sebastian Newman, and we are chatting about family feuds. Now, when facing with conflict, you know, how do you tend to respond? Are you a fight or a flight person? And earlier in the show, we were talking about Am I Wrong? Where we gave you a scenario. The gentleman was explaining that he feels like his pregnant wife has been complaining too much. We went through that entire scenario. We posted it online and we have comments we would love to share. So let's see if everyone else shared the same views we shared. Corsi says, when you are pregnant, you're not yourself. Well, that was my experience in both my pregnancies. You become extra needy and you can't help it, so the husband must just deal with it. I agree with Corsi there. Shiham says, help her where you can. For the rest, ignore her. She's a drama queen. If it gets too much, tell her you're going to buy bread.
And hopefully come back. Hey, please come back.
Buy bread or milk.
But also, I think the thing is for her is that he didn't say, but like if it was her first pregnancy, she's obviously also experiencing all these new things happening to her, and she also doesn't know what she's going through. So
the hormones, the body, everything's changing. But let's see what else you had to say on social media. Ruby says, strongs to both of you. Not easy being pregnant. She needs all the support. At least she have you. I didn't have anyone, so keep her happy when the little one is there. You will know why she throws tantrums. Good luck with the birth. Oh, goodness. Rachel says, well, she needs you the most now as she's going through an unknown phase, and pregnancy can be very stressful. I love that all of our viewers are encouraging and not attacking the poor man. Gary Okamp here is sharing, it's nature to fall pregnant and give birth, it's been going on for millions of years. Yes, stress and today's lifestyle plays a part. My grandmother had 11 children and my mom had 5. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Pregnancy is supposed to be a joyous blessing, not a free pass to be a big baby yourself. Oh.
Gary was like,
he's just hitting the nail on the
put
head.
on your big boy pants and deal with it. He's telling him to deal with it.
Yes, yes. Well, to that unfortunate Reddit user, we hope you got the guidance and support that you need to help your baby mama through this incredible process. And we wish you guys all the best.
Oh, Tata, maybe. You got married this weekend.
Just stop nonsense. To keep the men away.
Marapega, if you didn't stop nonsense and you're actually married, you'd be getting 50% off your monthly banking fees if you're in Javier and Michael's Plus account.
Yo, I'm gonna call my Mama Beza right now and tell her, Ziakala.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are tuned in to your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on S3. And founding director of the Family Counselling Centre, Andrea Nettle, and senior counsellor Sue Ann Richardson are back with us this morning as we continue to unpack the idea of generational behaviour. Now, the important thing to note is that while these separations can be useful, at the end of the day, we are individuals. But what they can help with is to know what people want and need and how they prefer to be treated. Fascinating topic. And I'm just relating, we were talking a bit about, this whole generational attitude and how it's changing. And I can see it in my kids. If I compare myself to where I was when I was their age, I mean, they're coming to me with things that I only learnt later on in life. And I think this is the more modern generations of today, they're much more exposed to so much more that impacts obviously the way they go about their lives. Now, I want to ask you notable differences specifically with regards to communication. When you look at these kind of generational gaps, what have you guys been noticing with regards to talking, communication, and bringing a point across?
Absolutely. So I think there's the actual language that is changing. I will never forget one of my personal experiences where my son was saying something about this person killed the song. And when I was growing up, killing a song was badly played, and that it was played well was his. So the actual language does change. But then also, we need to prepare our children for what they are. You were mentioning, things that you have experienced at the age of 20, your kids are experiencing at a much earlier age.
Yeah.
And we need to prepare our kids, which means that as parents, we need to prepare them for these things. And that often is quite difficult to keep up with those trends.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes my kids can speak a full sentence and I didn't grasp anything, which is interesting because they get all these things from where they're watching, how they consume information. And I want to chat about that technology. What role do you see it play with regards to this generational attitudes?
Look, a massive one.
Okay.
There's obviously a very big difference in how fast it's developing and the influences on children. I think that parents often have a little bit of a ostrich mentality. They don't really understand it that well, and they feel like everyone's doing it, you know, and it starts with a little bit of TV and all the kids are watching YouTube. But in our work, that is a very scary topic because parents aren't prepared, like Andrea was saying. The influences on our children, if we are not there to protect them and guide them and talk them through the things that they're seeing, their brains are not ready for it, their bodies are not ready for it, and they just don't have the social capacity to deal with it. So we are on a mission to educate parents around safety and security online, getting all those devices checked, making sure that your kids are protected, the games that they're playing. I mean, not just the exposure and how their brains are assimilating what they see and understanding what they see, but the pitfalls and the dangers within the games.
I think it's very challenging for parents because we run around, we're trying to make our lives work, we're trying to provide for our families. The time that you're able to spend with your family is limited nowadays, you know, so the kids are, you know, I think subjected to so much, and like you rightly said, they don't have that emotional maturity to digest what it is that they're taking in, which can cause those problems later on. So what advice, tools are there that parents can potentially look at, that people can look at to try and bridge those generational gaps?
So I just want to add to what Sue Ann was saying. So it is very scary on the one side, but also I feel that, first of all, if you're not parenting your child, who is? Is YouTube parenting your child, or is who is? It used to be just the kids at school, but now we've got the whole World Wide Web parenting our children. And the other aspect is for parents to really engage in their children's activities online. And, you know, games,
present there
be
as well.
present and show interest. It's not all bad. It is scary, like Sue Ann is saying, but if we get involved into that life, it is a reality. We need to learn to drive this vehicle. We need to teach our kids to drive this vehicle, and we need to give them tools to manage that vehicle, but we need to learn how to drive it ourselves, and we need to make an effort to actually enter into the games. Ask your child about these characters. Ask your child about this influencer. Ask your, you know, have a conversation that they are interested in, as opposed to being scared of it and moving away from it.
Yeah, and help them understand what they are watching, you know, for something, you know, that you might be watching, you physically grasp it, but they might not understand, but, you know, they're doing it like that. Oh, wow, it's just all good fun and whatever, but they might not process it the way that you can explain it as a parent. So I think that is the takeaway point here when it comes to bridging those generational gaps. For specifically, I think for building that strong foundation in a family unit, which links on to our previous discussion where we had family feuds and family fights and disagreements. I think when you build that foundation solidly, be present as a parent and make sure that can only mean positivity. And like you said, parents should get engaged with what their children are doing, not just to leave them to their own devices. Andrea, Sue Ann, thank you very much. Very, very interesting. Like I said, we need an entire day to discuss this. We've got lots more coming up on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Oh, well, listen, bonjour. We are getting ready to be whisked away on a fantastic French journey with Clover. Now, what you need to do is purchase any Clover product and unlock the opportunity to win an extraordinary experience. Now, 5 lucky winners and their partners will sail from the enchanting port of Marseille to the Mediterranean paradise of Ibiza. Now, get ready for a delightful exploration of French confections. We are absolutely going to be demystifying the differences between a Macron and a Macaroon. Now, although these can often seem people be confused by these treats possess unique flavor, textures, and origins, and we're about to unravel what sets them apart. Yes, But I can't do this alone. Let's bring in my companion.
Bonjour, madame.
Bonjour, monsieur.
What do you have for me?
I've got Macrons and Macaroons.
Ooh, okay.
Should we unpack this in terms of pronunciation?
Okay, so
Macron.
Is it a
One O,
Macron.
R-O-N, Macron, and a macaroon.
A macaroon.
Macaroon, yeah.
Okay.
Both Macrons
Oui, oui.
and Macaroons, they originate from France, but they come from different regions and have distinct histories. So let's quickly look at Macrons. They are round. And you know what's beautiful is everyone has their own way of pronouncing it. So this is how I pronounce it. But these are round. They are colorful and elegant treats with a sweet filling sandwich in between. I mean, we've seen some, you know, you go to a high tea and these are the ones you see, the beautiful little colorful ones. So those are our Macrons with the 1-O. Then we move over to the Macaroons, which have a different texture. As you can see, they've got some coconut on the outside. So really, really cool.
Okay, so this is basically, if you had to put it in a South African context, not to confuse a cook sister with a cook sister.
Yes, yes, they are different, very different. That's a good example.
Exactly.
I feel like we need to break one
open. So the
open.
Macaroons on this side have a rather dense and moist texture with a rather chewy consistency throughout.
Okay.
So very, very different from a Macron.
Macron. I mean, look, it crunches open. This is beautiful.
Oh, exactly.
This is a sin to break it with your hand. You have to bite it.
No, you just got to bite it. You can't break it, Zoe. Now, with regards to the flavors, I mean, Macrons offer a wide range of flavors from traditional options like vanilla, chocolate, and raspberry to more unique and adventurous choices such as matcha, salted caramel, and Earl Grey tea even.
I feel like I'm tasting lavender here. This is incredible.
Oh, it is kind of purple, so I'm sure it is, yeah. And then your traditional macaroons often have a sweet and nutty coconut flavor. You can see it from that coconut on there, but come in a variety of flavors as well, such as almond and dipped in chocolate as well. So you've had a macaron. Macron. So I'll go for one of these guys.
The macaroon.
You see
Show the camera what's inside.
It's deliciousness.
And it's more chewy, right?
It's so good. So good. Okay.
I love how they're expecting us to talk while we've got
especially with the mouthful of coconut
deliciousness in our mouth
as well. But the thing is, should you ever find yourself in France, which you possibly could, well, you will know the difference.
And we helped you out, and we you know, do a little taste test the next time you get to experience these different delicacies. And the thing is, you need to savor a taste of France, and you get to do that with Clover's Rugby Experience competition. Now, to enter, buy any Clover product and keep your till slip handy. Then dial *120*560# and follow the prompts. Keep watching Expresso daily to find out more information. There are T's and C's on our website, and in fact, it can be found on their website, clover.co.za. And who knows, you could be watching the Rugby World Cup in France.
And if you take a bite of one of these, you immediately sound French because there's so much coconut.
Oui, oui.
It's good though.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso on S3. Now, our tendency to switch to autopilot, to get things done in our busy lives, yes, we're all guilty of it, but that means that we often lose sight of important small moments spent with our loved ones.
Yeah, and here's something fun. Cadbury is bringing families closer together with a generously Give a Voice to Storytime initiative, which aims to make it easier for people to be in the moment and enjoy storytime together in a rather meaningful way.
Did you know that 75% of South African parents feel that the demanding pace of life reduces the opportunity of spending quality time with their children? Sadly, this statistic was realized in a recent survey conducted by Cadbury on their social media platforms. Today, we are joining the team to find out more about this exciting Give a Voice to Storytime initiative, which encourages South Africans to reprioritize the ritual of storytime along with the many benefits that come with it for both caregivers and children. Tembi, your survey shows that 3 in every 4 parents, have expressed that they struggle to spend quality time with their families, with their children. Why was it important to ask parents this question, and what do you do with the information now?
Yeah, so Cadbury is a brand that is all about generosity, and we look to inspire that generosity in South Africans. Fundamentally, we see generosity as a way to bring us all together and to inspire those human connections. And when we found out about this stat, we asked South African parents, what are some of the challenges with them being able to spend meaningful quality time bonding with their children? We had to do something about it. And we thought to ourselves, what is the best way that we can leverage our generosity as a way of bringing families together, giving them an opportunity to bond and spend meaningful quality time together.
We have been following Cadbury's 3-year journey to make stories in all South African languages more accessible to children. You have created this magical online library. What inspired this journey?
The insight for us was based on just the landscape of South Africa and the fact that we recognized that there was such a significant shortage of African language books and books being available in all 11 of our official languages. So over the last 3 years, we've actually created 1,500 stories for children in all of our 11 official languages. And that journey has now culminated in us actually bringing a voice to those stories to allow parents and children to have those ritualized moments of story time.
We are now with child psychologist Ms. Nziki Rajuwili. I'm really happy that you are joining us to kind of give us an insight on how abantwana think and how stories can also change one's perspective. As life goes on, it becomes busier, more demands happen, and the Cadbury survey suggests that these demands can be very overwhelming to a lot of people. Therefore, it impacts the family dynamics. What is your experience with that?
My experience is like most parents have been on an autopilot mode most of the time. And this is sad for me because especially young parents, you'll find that they lack time to bond with their children and to build that attachment. I don't know if you realize that children who stay with grandparents, because they are always there and talking to them, when you talk to this child, they really talk like an adult. You can hear that the language has developed. And children grow up in a family where TV or radio or the games was just one thing that was taken care of. Parents are unable, as I say, to bond with their children. And it brings that separation amongst family members. When you tell children stories, you activate or stimulate certain part of the brain. So it's not only about the bond, but it's also about developing your child's intellect, your child's cognitive skills. So it's quite important.
Tembi, you've partnered with inspirational South Africans to bring your stories to life. What part does creating audiobooks add to this initiative?
Yeah, we've partnered with some pretty amazing South African voices, the likes of Shekina, Yoza from Guadaki, Rorisang, as well as Yak de Priester. And for us, bringing a voice to these stories not only makes them more engaging and more immersive, but it also adds a different dynamic and a different dimension to story time that I think families will really enjoy.
I'm pretty sure the people watching right now and the rest of South Africa wants to know how can they get involved with the initiative.
So we've made it super easy for South Africans to get involved. All they need to do is buy a bar of their favorite Cadbury chocolate, go to our website cadbury.co.za, select their favorite story, and they can participate in giving a voice to story time. South Africans can also go into their nearest mall to give a voice to story time through the Cadbury Generous Story Time stalls that will be at Menlyn, Gateway, Tiger Valley, as well as Sandton City from June onwards.
Thank you so much, Tembi. Thank you for your survey that has informed this incredible initiative that will hopefully inspire and change family dynamics within the home through the power of storytelling.
Absolutely, and we're counting on the South African public to bring that to life.
Generously give a voice to story time with Cadbury's homegrown audio library. Simply grab your favorite Cadbury Dairy Milk, your loved ones, and visit cadbury.co.za and select a story in your home language to get started. Or you can visit a Cadbury Generosity Storytime studio near you to add your voice to the homegrown audio library for others to enjoy. Visit cadbury.co.za for all the details and follow the conversation using the hashtag Cadbury Give a Voice.
What a brilliant initiative. I absolutely love that. Get involved, Mzansi. I said it earlier on, the best thing a parent can do for their child is to just build a strong foundation, and you do that by spending quality time. And this is one way that you can really connect with your little ones.
Now you can generously give a voice to Storytime. Visit our library of homegrown audio stories at cadbury.co.za.
Oh, well, listen, we are starting our day courtesy of Omas, and we are so excited because we are searching far and wide for the Oma of the week, and we need your help. So, Straydom, come and join me here because I'm very excited for this. Oh. Now, if you have or know of an Oma, a gogo, a nana, a granny, that is just simply the best, then nominate her. Send us your special message or your video of appreciation, and we'll give her a shout out live on air and maybe even crown her Oma of the week. I mean, how special is that?
I love that. Our nanas need to be recognized for the incredible people that they are. Sure, I love it. Coffee's on tap this morning.
They do. So is there a specific, a special Oma that you know, or perhaps is your Oma still around?
Yeah, my grandma on my mom's side sadly passed away not too long ago in December.
Okay.
But we were very close. We were very, very close. We all grew up on the kind of the farm scenario where all the uncles and aunties and cousins were all together, and grandma's house was there, and the sleepovers at grandma and grandpa's house, and it was very, very special. So we connect that. And then on my dad's side, I still have my grandma, Oma Nance. Oma Nance, if you are watching. We used to visit, every second week, every weekend after church on a Sunday, we would drive through and go visit and spend the day there. And she was such a lovely, lovely woman, and she was so kind and nourishing, and she is just so beautiful. Yeah, so I will nominate both of mine. Yes.
Listen, that is super special because not only do you still have your Oma, but your kids have their great Oma, hulle groot Oma, the Oma Grootjie.
Ja, Oma Grootjie.
Ja, Oma Grootjie.
Groot Oma.
Groot Oma. I never knew my mom's parents because they passed when she was quite young, but my dad's my dad's parents, I have such fond memories with them, but sadly I lost them very young, so I never had the Oma feeling that a lot of kids have, but my mom is now a Oma to her first grandson, and I know that she is a very special Oma. She's Oma, and his English, the other Oma is Granny. So it's Granny and Oma. So, I mean, Kai is super loved, and yes, I know my mom's heart is burning to see him because they live in Australia, but I'm pretty sure that trip will happen soon.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. So why would you nominate them?
I think, you know, parents, you know, they focus on the discipline, they've got all these different things, but Omas and Opas are just fun.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden...
It's like break the rules a little bit.
I know.
You know,
like
have a sweetie after bedtime, it's fine.
All the things we were not allowed to do, it's like, what are you talking about? Kai can do everything in the house. It's like, I think the grandparents are just very different with their grandchildren.
Absolutely. Oh, crunchy rush.
It's a yummy one, yeah. Well, listen, we would love to know why you would nominate your Oma, and I think it's really, really special. And whether you call her Nanny, Nana, Gogo, whoever that person is, if you have an Oma that deserves to be crowned Oma of the Week, then send us your special message or video on the Expresso Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages using that hashtag Oma of the Week, and tell us why she deserves to be nominated, and we'll give her a shout out live on air. And this is going to make someone's day, so definitely get in on that. And perhaps if you're looking at a way of spoiling an Oma, this is also a cool way to do it.
And I know how much Omas love their grandchildren. I know, knowing your mom, I know how much her heart is bursting for that little one. So this is going to be melting some hearts for sure. Get involved. Yeah.
There is more in every dip with Oma rusks.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3. We've been talking about our Omas because we are searching for our Oma of the Week. Bas Newman, you've been here. We've done the gossiping. We've now done the tipping etiquette. Let's talk about Oma. Who's your special Oma?
Well, I lost my Omas, both of them, unfortunately. The one very young age, I didn't really get to know her. I've got like vague memories. The other one, however, I can't speak about. So it's my mom's mom. And she was incredible. When I decided to go into chefing, she was the one that was just like there. And you know, Mars, they know recipes.
Yeah.
But suddenly, Ma didn't know how to make this and that and came to me and was asking me, okay, I want to make this dessert. How do I do this? And people would come to our house and sell her cooking books and magazines, and she had boxes of cooking books and things. So she was very supportive of the career. So
I love that. I love how Oma all of a
Getting
sudden
like a
didn't
bit-
know how to make the things that she always made because she knew this was a passion of yours. Can I offer you a rusk? We've tucked into it, myself and you. And well, I've also learned my lesson. It's like you bite and then you can't talk. So
I'll eat.
Yeah, but we, you know what, we are obviously taking this online and we have some social media comments that we would love to share. So let's take a look at what it says. We have Kirshni saying, my granny is best of the best because she is my role model and because of her, I am who I am today. And the favorite memory is when all her nieces and nephews, her kids and their friends will all run away from their houses and just overflow her house with sleepovers and she will give her last to make us happy. Thank you for everything, Mama. Hashtag Oma of the week. That is super special. I think, you know, there's such a special space in someone's life, especially when that Oma is there. And Suzanne says, I love my Oma. Oma Floria, thank you for always having my back and just being there for us. I appreciate you so much. So thank you for your Oma. Love you loads from Tesne and Michelle. So thank you for that. Oh, listen, this is going to warm our hearts just hearing everyone's stories.
I got like a bit choked up when I was telling you the story, so I love this.
I know, and you know, one of my favorite memories of my Oma is she had long hair, but she always wore it in a bun. And I was always so fascinated when she brushed out her hair because I was just so fascinated with all this hair she had, but she always wore it up in a bun. Yeah. Well, there we go. We're going to get very nostalgic.
Yes.
The tears might start flowing, but do share with us your favorite stories and use that hashtag Oma of the week.
Omas are very, very special. But right now, we are going to end off the show on a very good note. Joining us back once again, grateful, up-and-coming artist. I think that is going to take the SA hip-hop scene by absolute storm. And you know what? We are bursting with pride because this man is proudly South African. But dude, I got to say, you've got that international flavor. Don't know what it is, but you've got that international flavor, my brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
And earlier on, we started the show, Zoe said that you are Bruno Mars's doppelganger, and you gave me this big smile of Gary, like, hey. Do you get that?
I mean, I get that quite a bit, yeah. I think definitely growing up, you know, a lot of people would say it. I didn't believe it until, you know, even more people started saying it. So I was like, okay, I might as well embrace it.
I'll take it, yeah. I'll take it. My music is different, but I'll take it, yeah. Listen, we've spoken about your journey. We've spoken about the fact that you are so grateful to be doing what you are doing, hence the name as well. The forever, you know, the grateful spelled with the 8 on turning aside. I think it's beautiful and significant. But where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself heading within this industry and perhaps, I think, on a global stage one day?
Yes, I mean, 100%, as you said, you know, global stage. You know, definitely just enjoying the moment that I'm at right now. I'm privileged to be here at Expresso. Thank you guys so much for having me here. It's been great. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. So, you know, I'm not too focused on the end goal. I feel like if you get too focused on that, you never end up being there. But right now, for now, we're focusing on the EP. The EP is called Nobody. I thought I'd drop that here exclusively for you guys.
Ooh, nice.
To enjoy the
track.
track.
Never before heard.
Never before. You guys heard it here first on Expresso.
I like that. I like that. So when can we expect the EP now to drop? Is it out yet or?
You know, we're taking it step by step. Okay. So right now we released the single Slippery, which is also on the EP. Next up is Nobody. And yeah, we'll just take it from there, you know, just carry on, bear with us, but it's coming out very soon.
And listen, we are thick into the winter months. Half of this year is already almost gone. I can't believe it. Time flies, dude. Time flies. You've been busy up until this point. What's lying ahead? What's the calendar look like?
You know, just remaining focused, just trying to get a better sense of myself, learning about myself in the industry and where I want to kind of align myself to, just constantly working every single day, dedicating myself towards this project and towards my craft. You know, it's gotten to a stage as to where I've become completely obsessed with what I'm doing. It's all I think about, all I do, all I want to
Which is where you want to be.
Exactly. You know, it's the only way to kind of progress. So I'm really just trying to give even more of myself to it and just see what comes out of it.
Oh, dude, I think it's fantastic because in the little time that we've known you, that we've introduced you to those who don't know you in South Africa, your feet are solid on the ground, and that is what you need because this is a tumultuous industry. We know this, and you need to have a good head on your shoulders, and I think you're going to do just fine, my friend. You're going to do just fine.
I appreciate that.
So right now we can look forward to one last performance, Nobody. Tell me about this.
So Nobody, you know, as I said, it's the next track after Slippery. It is not only one track that is on the project, but it is also what the project is named after. It's the whole basis around the project and what the project is basically about. You know, being selfless towards your service, being able to put yourself second towards what you are doing at this current moment. You know, always putting your craft first, or whatever you're trying to pursue, making sure that that's first. All motivation, throw that out of the window. Just be disciplined, consistent, hardworking. All of these things is what nobody's about. And essentially, you know, we're not aiming to be somebody. I'd rather remain nobody.
Yeah, just be you, man.
Exactly.
Just be you. No, it's not completely nobody, but I get where you're going with that.
Yes.
We got a nice exclusive live performance. Just quickly on social media, where can people follow you and see what you're up to?
So my most active page and where people can see what I'm all about is on Instagram. The spelling is GR8FVL. So yeah, I'm most active on there. I'm always giving updates. If you guys want to know more about the project, be sure to tune in over there, because I'll definitely be dropping some more over there as soon as the time's right. But for now, you know,
The time is right now for you to bring us one more vibe.
100%.
All right, take it away, my friend. Grateful with nobody.
Since I've been away, you never called. You never called back. You never even checked on me. Since I've been away, you never called. You never called back. You never even checked on me. Yeah, you don't care about nobody. You don't care about nobody but yourself. But yourself. Yeah, try to sneak up from behind me, can't find me. You won't love nobody else. Nobody else. Yeah, I don't want no replays. Saturdays and weekdays. Love the games that you play. That you play. I don't want no replays. Saturdays and weekdays. Love the games that you play. That you play. Okay. Since I've been away, you never called. You never called back. You never even checked on me. Yeah. Since I've been away, you never called. You never called back. You never even checked on me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Expresso. What a privilege, what an honor. Thank you. I'm grateful. I go by the name of Grateful, but my side right here is Soulful Clay. Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic. Grateful on your Feel Good Breakfast show. Can you give us one final bow? I love that. Alongside Soulful Clay.
Yes, love it. We are grateful to you, South Africa. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll do it all over again tomorrow, middle of the week, Wednesday. Have a wonderful one.